Pow! Live.
Hey.
Live. Hi, Duncan. You live too? I'm live. Hello.
Live.
Oh, go on. Tell us.
No, I was going to say something fatuous and stupid and time filling that's not probably in any way interesting. I've just literally sat down, everyone, so apologies while I fiddle.
It's fine. That was ninja level. I WhatsApped him. I was like, you got a minute, and he did it in 30 seconds. It was pretty fucking impressive. That's the way it is now, man. You got responsibilities. It's all good.
Dude. Yeah, and on that, if it shouldn't do, but if my mic picks up any baby crying, I apologise in advance. But
right.
she's on one tonight, so yes, yay.
Okay.
And I've got the night shift, so that's going to be fun.
I'm just going to readjust Duncan so we can get a bit more of his head. There you go.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Sorry, I can adjust me as well.
Yes,
so.
could you give me a bit more headroom there? A little bit more. There you go.
Max headroom.
Max headroom. Oh, I need my camera needs to be repositioned. Just give myself a little bit of enlarging. So, what have you been up to?
Baby shit. And just working, baby. I realised my mum came around to help us out today, and I went outside to see her off and put a thing in her car, and realised it was the first time I'd actually been outside all day, which is just depressing, really.
I've done that today. I realised earlier on I haven't actually been out. I've had a lot to do myself. I had lots of emails and things like that going on, and work stuff, and I didn't even go outside. I went downstairs to get a drink, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, that's because I saw my keys on the side, and I was like, I haven't touched those. Oh yeah, oh well, all right. People are asking if this is the dubbed version or the original version. The original version is the dubbed version. This is the original audio. This is Arnold's voice, as far as I'm aware, on Amazon Prime. It's Arnold's voice.
Yeah, I didn't have time to check.
I'm pretty sure. I think that's become the standard version. I'm going to be a little bit disappointed if it's otherwise. Actually,
the only thing I'd say is that the poster on Prime is the one with the Twin Towers in the background.
I did have. So I've owned 2 copies of this, and one had Twin Towers and one didn't, and they were both the Arnold voice one.
Right. I can't imagine it's not that, because now it would be.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to bring that up, because I had 2 versions, because one stopped working, so I bought another one. And one had the Twin Towers and one didn't. And we're talking about, this is very, very around that time. So they must have minted one copy of that DVD before that happened. Because the revised version very clumsily had them just sort of snipped off. So it looked, you could see the bottom, but they just sort of go like, and just like snip them off, I guess.
That's
in
worse.
Photoshop.
Because they collapsed, you idiot.
It's like, you insensitive fools.
They collapsed, you idiot.
You idiot. They put a jet liner in there. No. Very, very distasteful. It's fine. It's been 19 years, so I guess that's all right. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's nearly it's the anniversary tomorrow.
Yeah,
this is
tomorrow.
Showing up on the lines of taste, isn't it? Very much so. Oh, God. Well, there you are. So we're streaming on Periscope tonight, among other things. And Periscope currently has 1 viewer, which I assume is me. Because in kind of boomer fashion, because I do things on Restream, it just said, because I told you this, didn't I? Probably about half an hour ago or something, or an hour ago. I just saw on Restream, you can have Periscope, which is Twitter's streaming thing. Because you have to pay money to stream on an official Facebook page, so we can't stream on the Val Verde page, but I can stream on my personal Facebook page. So I'm not doing that. It's just like my auntie and shit. It's not going to want to watch that. So I thought I'd do it on Periscope. But I think Periscope is very much its own thing, because I don't think it's gone to our Twitter page. And we don't have any followers, and we're not following anyone. And we have 2 viewers. I think one person's gone over to Periscope since I've mentioned it. So it's me and another person on Periscope.
Oh, so it's a separate Twitter account?
No, it's we use our Twitter account to log in. But it seems you have separate Periscope followers and separate Periscope. So, I mean, this is me just fully boomer out of my depth. But if it's a thing done by Twitter, it's probably just undesirable and not very widely used. I
guess it seems like a bandwagon thing rather than a sort of blazing.
Oh, guys, I've revamped the animations. I showed Duncan earlier.
Oh yes.
If I go to Streamlabs, I can show you what I've done, which I'm very proud of, and we're going to re-up them soon. But so Duncan, you won't be able to see him unless you watch the stream, because every time anybody has a thing, for me, because I'm the one streaming, I get the noise in my ear. So I get like, it was ground upper, but now It's different. A change.
Do they not hear it then?
They hear it. Everybody hears it.
Okay.
Apart, it is real. I hate to say this like this, but everybody hears it apart from you, because I get it in my ear roll, quite loud, quite often. So yeah, if you have the stream open, you'll be able to see it. But so if I test
on a delay, but yes.
Yes, on a delay.
Right.
I think I'm going to start off. By testing subscriber.
A barrel.
So I'm laughing, Duncan can't see it. And the super chat.
Cashback.
You're just like, what are you doing? Yeah, so you get an Alan
I'm waiting for it to
noise
come
and you get a
round.
barrel noise, which is quite nice. There you go, and a little animation as well. So I'm quite pleased with myself. Floyd Dillon saying that Ricky Gervais uses Periscope. I haven't got it telescope. So there you go. Maybe Ricky Gervais is the other person. He's the only one who's got it.
Right, Ricky.
Oh, we've got three Periscopers. Give us a follow, Periscope viewers. I know what that means. And I accidentally briefly streamed like a mic test because I hit start streaming instead of studio mode, and then OBS lost its damn mind because of that, and I had to reset everything. So I'm glad I fucked that up when I fucked that up. That's making it possible to sort of revisit and rejig. So there you go. That's it.
Sorry for my mastication. I've just been eating chocolate.
Bless you. Were you like having dinner or something when I was?
I literally, I finished dinner at like 7 minutes to.
Fucking hell, mate.
I had to rush things through to chuck them in the dishwasher and then take the baby while wife went for a toilet, and then rush upstairs, get set up because I wasn't set up. That's why it took me forever. And then I needed a wee, so I was like, I was at the toilet pushing to try and get done.
My wife did a toilet.
No, after she'd done a toilet.
Oh yeah, sorry, of course, yeah.
Yes.
You do have two facilities in your house.
We have three, in fact.
Do you? Do you have three?
I've got a six figuring. Yes, we have trace toilet.
The ensuite, the upstairs, and of course the downstairs where the shoes are quite tastefully kept.
Annoyingly kept. Every time some poor unwitting bugger goes in there and opens the door, and there's like a second door of shoes that just hits you in the face. You think you've got more clearance than you do, and especially because it's dark, you can quite often, and if you're drunk, wander into some shoes.
I have definitely awkwardly tried to pick up shoes discreetly, because I think on the rare occasion where I've been so desperate for a wee, I've gone mid-Coventry. I've knocked shoes down and have been like, oh fuck, and trying to discreetly put them back on, as not to register on the microphone.
I think that is the gauntlet. That toilet is because you've got that, and then because where we live we have such ridiculously high water pressure. Again, people who are not in the know, this has got Brad a few times actually, especially for some reason. If you're a heavy-handed individual, such as I count you among that, and you're a draw slammer and a, you know what I mean, like one of those, like it's just heavy-handed. Like that's not what I am a bit as well. Yeah. But like if you sort of open the door not expecting anything to be on it, and all these shoes hit you in the face, and then after you're done and you go to use the cold, if you wash your hands with a cold tap, and you turn it even like a nanomillimeter on, 5,000 bar of water just shoots out, and like because it's a small hand sink, like it shoots out the other side, and literally most of it will go out the other side and like all over the towel and the floor and everything. So there you go.
I have experienced that. My downstairs toilet has that sink that looks like it's painted on the wall because it's so absurdly shallow that it might as well just be like a dinner plate above a tap.
Isn't it also like one of those? Is it all a big porcelain thing? I can't remember.
Cashback.
Yeah, it's a big kind of porcelain sort of
includes
outcrop.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Like a feature.
Yes. It needs a little pissing baby, like in Bruges. Oh no, it's not Bruges, is it? It's Brussels, not Bruges.
An avocado green.
It's the peach Melba pink. The other 70. You had 1 in 50 chance of getting the correct 70s colour for the fucking toilet.
Right.
My parents' old house had an avocado suite when we first moved in.
My friends had that, and they had the avocado suite, but they also had a fairly ingenious device, which was a magnetic thing above, I guess you had a corresponding magnet that you squished into a bar of soap, and then you could just stick the soap to the thing.
Oh.
That way, it wouldn't sit and make soap soup underneath.
Soap soup. I bought I bought a soap holder cage to avoid soap soup with an integrated suction cup. Which is Barrel. Sean Danaher has triggered the partridge animation / cashback sound effect. $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Sean. Evening, lads. I hope you're well. Have either of you been listening to From the Oast House? Highly recommend. I've heard one episode. That's the new Alan Partridge podcast. I've heard one episode. We talked about this briefly, didn't we? I really, really, really liked the bit that I've heard.
I've heard one episode. Tristano TGV. Sorry, I keep doing this. I'm sorry. It's my baby brain. TGV of the Urban Gentry sent me. He sent me another episode of it, but it's come through and I have to use it in Apple Books. It's like an Audible.
It's an Audible thing, yeah.
And I can't listen to it. There's some sort of problem with the latest version of OS or whatever. Anyway, but I did listen to one that he sent me on YouTube, and it was hilarious. The one where he like hides in the guy's garage.
Well, it seems that must be the first one, because it seems like everybody. That's the one I've heard, and it seems like everybody's heard that one. And it's when he's in the he's like, I know who you are. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like you can hear him get all like proud of himself. You've seen the little advert he did for it as well.
When he strips off.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's
made me revisit. I just got a Roku for the TV in my room, for the TV that now lives in my room, and that's made me go on iPlayer and I've just watched all of This Time again, because I need to get the Audible free trial so I could just blag Oast House, watch Oast House, listen to Oast House, cancel the trial, and then I suppose if they do another series, I'll pay for a month so I can listen to Oast House.
I mean, I gather the thing that they just, much as my theory with the HBO Max thing is, it's like I think they stretch them out. The reason why they take those flagship shows, like they've just done it with The Boys on Prime, it's like they're releasing them in like 3-episode chunks, and I think they're doing that so that you can't just get the free trial, watch the whole thing and bin it. Like you've got to, because they stretch them out over.
That's the thing with Mandalorian, isn't it, as well? Because finally Britain, I guess, will get it at the same time as the US, but of course you then have to. I had Disney Plus for a bit, and then I realised outside the Marvel movies and a bit of not Discovery Channel, whatever the
National Geographic. Yeah.
Beyond that, I was like, this doesn't actually hold a lot of appeal for me outside of those.
We're the same.
Things.
We've let it go. I mean, I think we've still got it till next month, but we haven't watched it hardly at all. I force-fed myself Star Wars like some unholy chocolate cake, and then
like some kind of Star Wars Augustus Gloop.
Yes, yeah. We're like Matilda. I tried to sit down and it took me 3 sittings, and I liked it, and I liked when we did the thing on Empire. I really enjoyed getting a kick out of that, and I was like, I must go and watch this properly because I really enjoyed just seeing it. So I wasn't listening to it. I just can't be asked. And I mean, as much reverence as I have for that original trilogy, I've seen it so much that at this point it's just in my retinas. I can't so it's just like why?
It's a bit worn out, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it would be like having a streaming service dedicated to Terminator 2 on a loop. It's like, why am I going to bother? And so and you're right. And like all the Marvel stuff, we've kind of done those again. Now I don't need to see like Infinity War and Endgame again with the rich, dense chocolate cake analogy. You get to I mean, we watched those over 2 nights, I think. My wife and I.
My wife.
And my wife. And I was like, do you know what? I'm done now. Like it was fine, but I'm done with this now. I can't.
I get that. I really like Endgame because of its timey-wimey stuff. I think I watched it in the cinema and I've watched it twice since. And
I like it.
Yeah, but it's just I'm like I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm fine. I've had enough. Look for now, because it's a big bastard as well, isn't it? So you're kind of
I never used to be like that. When I was a kid, I would sit and just ingest those things for hours and hours and ad nauseum. But now, forget it.
Repeat as well, right? Because I used to watch the Terminator films, of course, just on repeat and repeat.
I used to watch Superman on repeat. Used to. Now, Christopher, I don't know if from Reeve to Tregenna, Christopher Tregenna sent.
Which is the best? Reeve or sorry.
Yeah. He sent us tuppence on the 3rd of September, and I don't know if we covered that off, but I'm going to cover it off anyway, because I don't think we did or whatever. He said, "Hi guys, best wishes to you all. I recently saw Jurassic Park and the '89 Batman at the cinema and loved the experience. If there was a film you could watch on the big screen again, which would it be?"
I've done that quite a bit. I used to seek those out particularly when I was film student, there would be screenings of stuff, and we would go seek them out. So I did all your Terminators and your Predators and your Aliens, all the stuff you like. I did all that. I've done Blues Brothers and The Thing. I've done when Universal had their re-releases. I think
Cashback.
I've done 2001. I've done The Room. The Room is a hoot on a big screen. It's kind of designed for that, really. What say you?
I think the only thing, and I missed it because of their insanely limited release, was Terminator 2. Or the Terminator, because I never saw those on the big screen. But the thing is, I think I would rather have watched them not having seen them, if that makes sense. Like now,
Sure.
I think knowing them back to front the way I do, because I know they do these quote-alongs and stuff. I should go to see the Big Lebowski, but then that only seems to be on in those quote-alongs, and I would want everyone to shut up.
Just shut up and watch them. Yeah,
exactly. I don't want to go and have people say the lines badly at the screen. So
I've not seen any of the Romero zombie films in the cinema, which I'd really like to do. That's kind of big, high up. I did. My friends, we got to do Sam Montgomery's Super Chat, but my friend used to be a manager at the Picture House in Cambridge, and he no longer works there, so I can say this. He gave us private access to the cinema after it closed on like a Friday night on my birthday. So we turned up at like 1-2 in the morning. We had all 3 screens to ourselves. We watched RoboCop first. So the idea was to have RoboCop for my friend Nick's birthday, and then we just had the run of the screens till like 5 in the morning. We were just running around with bottles of whiskey in our hands open, just rolling over the seats and play fighting and stuff. And we had like Streets of Rage on one screen and Call of Duty on the other, so the Xboxes, and we were just you know that cinema, right? We were just going nuts and running around. And my friend, who I shan't name, no longer works there, so I won't get him in trouble. But that was absolutely gross misconduct. It was fucking awesome.
How does that work? Because my friend, his mum lives in a house with a private with a screening room with it, so it's like a mini cinema. It's not as big as one of those screens, but we watched The Big Lebowski the night before his wedding, and that was just on DVD and it worked all right. But with that, when you watched RoboCop, did you not have to find like a?
We just used a Blu-ray. I wasn't that bothered about I wasn't going to source a print. What we were doing wasn't supposed to be happening and stuff. So I got a Blu-ray, and that is a film that, because of the film stock it was on, it's a really dirty film anyway. So I think that suffers each time you upscale it anyhow. So I wasn't that bothered. I can't remember which of the screens we actually. I think we watched the film in one of the smaller screens, and then when things went nuts, we had like Streets of Rage on it with the big screen, and it's good times. Sam Montgomery says biggest guilty pleasure. I mean, this is one for me. I love watching this movie. In terms of a guilty pleasure, I mean, guilty pleasure is an odd term, but I do really love watching this film. Any thoughts there yourself? You like nice things, don't you? Duncan likes nice things.
I don't know. I'm not. I mean,
A barrel.
I don't know. You'll have to come back to me on that. I think. There are things that I loved as a kid that I have reverence for, but I wouldn't necessarily like Superman 4. I used to watch endlessly, and
we're both Superman 3 guys, aren't we? And you're not supposed to
definitely.
like that. Like you're not supposed to like it, which is bullshit. But Superman 3 is apparently just awful, and you shouldn't like it. And it's like Superman 3 is great. It's probably my favourite one. And you and I have discussed that many times.
Yes. Yeah. I would agree with that, though. I mean, it's my favourite to just put on and enjoy.
Universal Soldier: The Return. Have you seen that with Michael? Like it's Van Damme and Michael Jai White and Goldberg and stuff. It's I take it you've never seen it.
No.
I think it's from 2000 or not. Yes. It's from 2000 or 99, and it's because they continued Universal Soldier since with the Hyams and stuff, and it's all serious, which are very good. This one is the kind of one that's not counted in continuity and stuff. I saw it when it came out. I rented it. I really liked it, and I knew it was shit. And I went and bought a tape from HMV, and I used to watch it on like Friday nights. I just like it, even though it's definitely like, because this is kind of the sort of rubbish where it's like really storied rubbish and kind of high trash. Whereas like Universal Soldier: The Return is like, it's not even that funny or anything. It's just shit. But I was kind of like always like, I like this.
I'm not. I don't think. Yeah, in my high philosophy moments, I suppose I say you should never feel guilty about a pleasure, but then obviously that doesn't extend to paedophiles. So that's not true. But I suppose what I mean, like a consumption of art, and again, definitions of art. There are obviously fringe aspects of that don't apply, but I don't think generally, if it's liking Superman 3, then I don't think you should feel guilty about that at all.
It's social pressure, isn't it? 'Cause it's kind of like there's loads of people you always find out like in school were really into sort of like their hardcore hip hop or whatever, which they did actually really like, but were also like super into musical theatre. But because of the mates, so they couldn't say, right? And they really wanted to just be in Greece or whatever, but they had to like show a front and shit. Like, I think as you get older though, right? It's just like life's too short and it's just a pleasure. It's like, I don't care. I'm not worried about someone walking in front of me watching Universal Soldier: The Return and Superman 3 simultaneously on two screens.
In some sort of stereoscopic nightmare. Andrew Capit sent us £20.
Oh,
wow.
Jesus, thank you, Andrew.
What a stalwart you are, Andrew, of a supporter of us. And please do add a message if you've anything to say, other than, well, unless it's, how do I cancel this regular payment?
How do I cancel a direct debit?
And my dad, Philip Casey, MBA, sent us £10 as well. I shouldn't say that, but mockingly.
Mostly
MBA.
brilliantly excellent.
Yeah.
He said hi in the preamble before you were here. So your dad was in there saying hello. Good old
preamble.
In the preamble. So the film is on Amazon Prime. It's a trip if you haven't seen it. We've talked about this once before because this is one of these things where it's like Richard makes Duncan watch a thing. I think this was really early on, wasn't it? Among the Cyborg Cop 2s and the RoboCop TV shows and the Hercules and New Yorkers.
Indeed.
But it is a treat because it's so. I do find it a treat because it's just so ridiculously awful. And I think it's, there are so many things you can riff on with it. I think because if something stupid isn't happening, it will be in a minute. And you just have to sit and wait for the next bear suit. Or
it's a hard one to sit down and watch on your own, though. I mean, this is something to watch mockingly with friends and laugh at. It's not something like because I watched it because I hadn't really seen it before, so I watched it for the sake of
your art,
my art, yeah.
Of your art.
And I was like, I had to sit through this thing that was mostly garbage because it is. I mean,
and I had to. The best part is I had to send him a copy, and it just had this. That whole exchange had this mood of resignation.
And in my head, it's sort of like the theme tune to Steptoe is playing. It's like, is that Steptoe? Okay. What's this? Is that that and also no, I'm thinking of is it the Curb Your Enthusiasm? Yeah, that's more like.
Yeah, this has also because this has it has like the Greek music in it, but it's sort of like now if you were going to go to I don't know, Invato Elements and type Greek music, that's what it would give you. And it's sort of like, and it's supposed to be patterned around ancient Greece. And it doesn't feel like anyone involved in this film has even looked at Greece. And but it's also like the sort of Hasidic music in Snatch. It sounds quite a lot like that. So it's kind of got that kind of ding 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 kind of thing in it. I mean, I remember just like fucking when we found this, because it was the golden, as I've talked about endlessly, it was when me and my mates used to go find shit movies, and of course this is the kind of stuff you'd find. And it was I don't think we found about this on the internet. We might have done, it was so long ago, but obviously there was that thing of mining films you knew existed. But I think we kind of half knew about it, and then one day it was in a fucking shit bargain bin, and it was like, oh my god, we've got it, it's here. And it boasted the original soundtrack, because they dubbed Arnold, because at this point, this was filmed in 1969, I believe, released in 1970. He barely spoke English, so it's loads of like phonetic English. And as you very rightly pointed out last time we talked about it, there's loads of really shonky boom mic, where it's kind of like, Hercules, because they haven't adjusted for the turning his head.
Which it speaks to the point that I don't think they ever intended for his voice to be used, because otherwise they would have mic'd him properly, wouldn't they? So he was always intended to be dubbed, I'm assuming, and that's why when they've gone, oh shit, he's famous now, they've tried to reinstate the the on-the-day audio that doesn't really work all that well. Can I just point out something? Ryan Swayze 88 says, has anyone seen The Vanishing with Jeff Bridges and Kiefer Sutherland? Yes, I own that film, and I suppose one might call that a guilty pleasure, in that it's not particularly well known or well regarded or well remembered really by anyone, but I sort of like it. It's not really groundbreaking in any way, and Jeff Bridges is really weird in it. But it's got a lot of people I like in it.
What's that about? I don't know that one. It sounds like kind of serious 90s thriller is what it sounds like.
Serious 90s thriller, yes. It's starring Kiefer Sutherland and Sandra Bullock as a couple, and Sandra Bullock has a really small role in it, which is like, you think, oh, okay, this must have been before she blew up, because there's no bloody way she'd have had such a small role later on. God
rest her.
Not Diana Ring.
Oh my God.
Too soon. Sorry. God rest her. It's and they're like a couple, and basically she gets kidnapped right at the start and disappears, and the whole thing is about Kiefer Sutherland sort of descent into madness, trying to find her for years, and eventually tracks down it. And I don't want to spoil it, but turns out the dude done it, sort of.
Oh no.
Kind of, whatever. But it's actually a remake. But it's not a particularly great one. It's not a particularly bad one. It's just, I think that's its biggest crime, is that it's a bit weird. But and then Jeff Bridges does this weird accent that I don't think was called for at all. But he sort of is like, I'm Barney and I sound weird, and I guess I'm from Canada now, even though he's not. And
interesting.
It's very strange, but it's good. It's good. It's Jack Bauer done a kidnapping. Or something.
Jack Bauer done a kidnapping with the dude.
Yeah,
I quite like the sequels to Darkman, actually. Once Upon a Vostok. I kind of dug those. I still do. I would definitely say, if I hadn't only watched it a few months ago, like DC Cab, the first, I talked about that to you, the Joel Schumacher kind of debut. If I'd watched that 10, 15 years ago, I'd never admit to liking it. Whereas as a 36-year-old, I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. I fucking love that. It's great. It's super good. Alan Doddridge, £5 super chat.
Cashback.
Cashback.
That nearly synced up. That was weird.
Oh wow.
Ernest Graves' Use has a short filmography. Have you watched Dogs of War? I've not seen either film. Yeah, Dogs of War is the one with Christopher Walken. Is it, or is it? Because I have seen that one.
I don't
think
care.
I've got it on tape. So yes, Alan, I have. Yeah. If it's the right movie, which I don't think it is. Yeah. I hope it is. We're nearly there. We've got two Earth minutes until we put on.
I forgot. I so quickly. I was so quick. I didn't have time to grab any water.
Oh, go do that, man. Don't.
I have only whiskey at my disposal.
Please do get some water. Don't dehydrate yourself. That's crazy.
So like a cowboy.
The only fluid he gets is baby's urine on his skin.
What are you drinking?
I'm not going to say Jack Daniels and Coke. I'm going to say, I'll tell you what it is. It's from Lidl. Western Gold Straight. Oh, it's called Western Gold Straight Old. Kentucky whiskey.
Didn't even check the label. I've got a nice drop of Bamor here, or what else have I got? Hang on, I'm trying to find that. Or Arbelor. So it has to rhyme if it's going to make it to my whiskey collection. Arbelor or Bamor.
Bamor. I'm just going to... we derail slightly. Western Gold, straight old, 3 years, Kentucky bourbon whiskey sour mash. Distilled and matured in the USA. Straight up old Kentucky bourbon whiskey, aged in American oak, based on the best American grain, pure water, and knowledge of experienced distillers.
Tenner.
Bottled by Popstan Richard Soliveg, Germany!
Dr. Oetker.
Dr. Oetker.
The real taste of Italian. I'm just going to grab some water.
Go get some H2O. I'll entertain everybody. That's a loose interpretation of the word entertain, but there you go. So you go. Billy Mount is asking if I've seen Will Sasso's bits about Arnold on Man TV. I have. We used to quote those all the time to each other when we were younger. Basically going, I have to help Vanessa Williams get back the stolen identity. Goo gaga. And I didn't know who Will Sasso was at that point in time. TM2YC talking about June, David Lynch's June, Guilty Pleasure. I get that. It's one of those things with the kind of bad reputations, isn't it? And we're in the week of new June now. We've made Dan Lyles. We've driven Dan Lyles to drink. Ross Saunders is reaching for the bucky. There you go. Ryan Swayze's getting high. Fair play to you, my man. Pepsi Max for Floyd Dillon. I don't know when this turned into a substance consumption thing, but Pepsi Max for Floyd. Little and Aldi beer rocks my world, says Captain Meets Adventures. There you go. Ryan Swayze, have you done a watch party for Roadhouse? If not, would you guys do one? Yeah, I'd be up for that, but I'd have to watch it again. I just got shit from my mate texted me recently, and his girlfriend wanted to watch Total Recall, and he wanted to watch Roadhouse. He said, which would you pick? And I was like, Total Recall, obviously. TA says, no Tenet review. No, sorry, man. I haven't been to the cinema. I'm a bit edgy about going to the cinema, particularly because like COVID cases have just spiked this week, so we're probably going back into lockdown soon. So I haven't seen Tenet to review it for you. So I'm really sorry. Otherwise, I absolutely would. Independence Day is a big guilty pleasure of mine. I remember seeing Independence Day in the cinema when it came out, and it absolutely blew my mind because I was 12 or whatever, and it was just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I don't hold it in such high esteem these days. I was just saying that Independence Day, when I saw it in the cinema, I didn't know anything about Independence Day. I went to see it in the cinema, and I was probably 12 or 13, and it was just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And then, time has eroded that opinion slightly, but at the time, it was just like, oh my god, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. I still do. I still enjoy it for what it is. It's just a B movie writ large, isn't it? That's really
absolutely, yeah. Well, I think that's what Roland Emmerich's kind of niche was doing kind of 1970s B movies on a big scale.
It's what Mars Attacks kind of got wrong.
No, I think it's what Mars Attacks got right. Well, we talked about this already. I
like Mars Attacks.
I like that those two came out at basically the same time, and one's really optimistic, and the other one is just grossly cynical and mean. But which is we did a whole episode about it. You can watch it if you want. Go back into our back catalogue and watch that
if you want.
If you like. I love you. Thanks.
Love you in a way.
In a way, she's mildly cretinous. Right. That's too much Partridge talk, or maybe not enough Partridge talk.
Who knows? I might join you for a dram.
Yeah, go on. Not too many drams because we've got babies to clean or whatever.
Yeah,
or whatever it is you do.
I've got her tonight, which means what you don't do is sleep.
Oh man.
You certainly don't do that. So
how are you entertaining yourself when is it just because she's keeping you up, or are you just are you reading a book? Are you watching something?
No, what tends to happen is, she might go down for a bit, but she'll go down for like 2 to 3 hours, and then she'll start, we call it squidging, which is like just sort of wriggling and making noise. And then if you don't feed her quick enough, and that may involve a change as well, so you have to sniff her bum basically, and if she shat herself, then you got to do that. And if you don't do that quick enough, she'll kick off. If you don't feed her quick enough, she'll kick off. And if she kicks off enough, then it's like this sort of perpetual like critical mass that just means she'll just be eggy for frickin' ages, and then you've got to burp. So the feeding and changing process takes about an hour to an hour and a half, which at like 2:30 in the morning is deeply unpleasant. And then it's hard to get her to go to sleep because after she's just fed, her belly hurts. And so it's honestly, so you get about 3 to 4 hours sleep typically of a night like that, and it's broken sleep. So it sucks, but I'm doing it so I can get up in the morning and work. Because if I don't do it, then I have to take her first thing in the morning and then don't get any work done. Anyway, that's an insight into my life that no one asked for.
Whereas I just wake up and follow the bin lorry, see where it's going. Things like that.
On average day.
Normal day for a single childless weirdo.
Follow the bin lorry.
I always get tired before it goes back to its cave or wherever it goes.
I've recently got some new glassware, which I'm quite enjoying for Gentleman's Corner.
Oh, they're jolly nice, aren't they?
Yes, I went into an IWC boutique, which will mean nothing to you, but it's a watch company in London a while back, and they gave me it's a very Gentleman's Cornery type boutique. Boutique just means that it's a shop, but it just sells that, so it's branded rather than being at a dealer where they've got lots of different brands. Anyway, and they've got like a proper gentleman's area upstairs with whiskies and stuff, and he poured me the biggest, and I hadn't eaten, and it was like lunchtime, and he poured me the biggest it was like an 18-year-old Glenfiddich, which is very impressive in a glass like that, and it was massive, and I think the idea was to get me to buy a big watch, but I didn't.
Buy a big watch. That's a very kind of 1950s businessman's lunch, isn't it? Like a deep glass of whiskey.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't realise how big these glasses are. They're 11 ounce, and that's quite a lot.
Jolly similar to the ones we just got, actually. I say we, myself and my wife Ivan. We bought together. Okay, are you ready to kick off?
Indeed, yes. Sorry,
okay, I'll count us in. I'll do a sensible number. I'll do 10. I'll just do 10. And when I say, how is 10 not a sensible? Oh, 5. I'll do it for 5.
Hang
Are
on,
we
wait
ready?
now.
5.
Because this stupid.
Yeah,
thing
see, if I'd given you 10, you'd have had the time to sort it out. But you went, no, it's not a sensible number.
Don't care. Let me just make sure there's no ads because Prime does that to you.
Okay.
I know. Wait, yeah, we're good. We're good to go.
Okay. So I'm going to say on Hercules, press play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hercules.
In New York.
So this is it seems Lionsgate have their mitts on this now.
They get their mitts on anything.
Wow, fucking hell, they own all things, right? Like, jeez. Well, they don't, but they seem to be releasing everything.
Yeah, they did I Am Soldier, which I had a small role in.
I've just the project that Toby and I just completed is for the gentleman who composed the soundtrack to I Am Soldier. Which I brought up with them. I was like, "Oh, Duncan's in that," and they were like, "Oh no, shit." So there you go. That was quite nice. The Mountain of Stock Footage. It looks like the opening to Monkey.
Oh, really?
Born in an egg on a mountain top, he was the funkiest monkey who... Okay, you don't know what I'm talking about. Fine, whatever, fine. It's fine. It's a great theme tune, whatever. Here's the tennis court where they all live in Olympus. It's an overcast day in Olympus, isn't it? There's not a lot of sunshine.
It does throw into sharp relief just how ridiculous the idea of the gods and all that was, like prancing about with a lute and all that. Like anyone gives a shit.
Prancing about with a lute.
Well, that's what the guy was doing.
I know. This is definitely in America, but it looks like a National Trust house in Hertfordshire.
It really does. And I'm gonna turn the sound up and see if it's.
Which version is it?
Yeah. It's the same old faces. I'm tired of it.
They're so.
Don't push me around.
We used to.
It's young Arnold.
Also, a Mr. Olympia site because they originally credited him as Arnold Strong because of that. Produced by the Royal Air Force. They credited him as Arnold Strong because they were worried no one could pronounce his name, and I think there you go, Arnold Strong.
It's Stang.
Stang and Strong.
Oh yeah, Stang is the guy.
Stang is the Phil Silvers stand-in who did all kinds of. I think he did lots of voices and things. Arnold Stang. He was a voice actor. But because they were worried no one would be able to pronounce his name or understand his voice, and it's like, well, you just
as if that's the biggest problem this film would have. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm
like
not seeing that.
Hey, let's go to the pictures tonight. I gotta put on my best outfit, take my best girl down to pictures. Hey, what are we gonna see? Hey, it's Hercules in New York. I live in New York. What is it got? What are the odds? Okay, who's in it?
Over here.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. What's the doodle? Fuck this movie. I'm going to see Midnight Cowboy or something.
I'm going to see whatever else came out in 1970.
Go fuck your mother.
Go fuck your mother over there, over here. It's and they do that thing of basically all the credits up front as well. Like So I was thinking about examples of that recently, and one that kind of does that for quite conspicuous reasons is Monty Python and the Holy Grail, because they need to do it for the gag at the end to work, where the film gets busted by the police and it just stops. But I think I mentioned the other day, Future Kick, the Roger Corman one with Don the Dragon Wilson, does full credits at the beginning and end because it clearly wasn't long enough to be a feature, because I think it runs in at like 71 minutes or something. So there's like a long ass credit sequence at the beginning and the end. It's like, okay, fuck yourself then. Look at Hercules. Look, they're arguing. This looks like every shopping mall in Las Vegas. This is like a bit outside like this. Look at the crystal clean waters of Olympia.
Yeah. That's it. I want to go to. This is boring. Look at it. It looks like sort of. It doesn't even look like a National Trust property. It looks like a park in London. It's like sort of Hampstead Heath or something with the token column.
I like the imported columns because there's some of their own additions in that scene before. They're just like conspicuous columns not holding anything up, like those white ones, the prop columns, and some of them are spray painted gold. He is fucking like, because the thing is, he was always huge, but this is bodybuilding competition huge Arnold. This is when he was actually like Mr. Universe huge, because like in Predator he's huge, but in this he's huge.
Yeah, he's cut. I mean, that's the thing. Is just like yeah. If you look at him, even in the Terminator, like he's not that big. I mean, he's big in the Terminator, but he's not that big. Like that's you look at his V. It's called the V taper, especially his back. Like his back's huge, but then he was like what late 20s, I think, at this point.
I think he was younger. I think he's sort of like it's 1969, and he was born in like what 1948, so probably about 23 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Look at
in
him.
his 20s.
Fucking look at that.
Well, did you see? There's pictures of him as like a 16-year-old, and he's hench, like because he just had fucking the genes, didn't he? All the genes, and then his illicit son, that he put in the maid, is now exactly the same. He's like, oh look, and it's like, yeah, that's.
How old is the illicit son?
I think he's in his 20s, isn't he? I think.
Was it that long ago? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
So I know it was a long time ago, but in my head it's always like a little baby with a big gap in its teeth and a big square head. But I suppose it was. I didn't realise. Oh Jesus! Oh Jesus!
It was flying outside, don't you know? It's Ed Wynn as the voice of that lady. Oh my goodness!
Snaffleupagus. No, not Snaffleupagus. I got my cartoons wrong. It's not the cartoon, is it? I'm going to stop now. Yeah, this. I suppose if you were like because this is aimed at children, isn't it? Really.
One would hope.
One would hope. This is very much the Taxi Driver of its day.
Yeah.
Paul Schrader based that on this. It is one they say. I said before when we talked about it. What De Niro was fucking.
A little bit. Don't tell anyone, but that's a little bit. Go fuck
it
yourself.
does give you, being a thing that was made cheap without permission, it does give you that look at what New York was like then. Which I always find, even garbage films, I think even bad ones that are made in a place and time that no longer exists, I find them interesting. New York is the most ridiculously covered city as well. There are so many films like that. So there's a whole feature on the film The Exterminator had a Arrow release, and there's a whole, I can't remember the name of the area, but there's a big kind of drag down in New York that's all been Giuliani'd up, and they filmed it all around there, and there's a whole an entire featurette dedicated to the gentrification of this area and how a lot of views of it are preserved in that film, which is really interesting, a really interesting thing to me. Did you, by the way, I'm unclear, so the idea, folks, was kind of like starring debuts we thought was the theme for this week's the thing that Duncan and I hurriedly pulled out as a theme this week was feature debuts. So we had Bloodsport for Van Damme, and we had this for Arnold, and then Rocky for Stallone, which is what I would really love to talk about someday, because we've never really done. We did It Ain't Break, but I'd like to do a commentary or something. But of course, Stallone's Hercules notoriously is Party at Kitty and Studs, which is it's a porn film. But I'm unclear, because I know Stallone, I'll be indelicate because it's funnier. Stallone gets his cock out in it. And they repackaged it, I think they repackaged it with the Italian Stallion, and they released it in a kind of softcore version to cash in on Stallone's fame. So I don't, but I'm unclear. I don't think he actually, because people say, oh, it's a porno. I don't think he has a performative sex role in it. I don't think there's any unsimulated sex in it that I know about, and I don't think he was actually performing in a porn way in it. Gets his wang out. I think there's like some dry humping and stuff, but I don't think it's like an actual porn film, because that's quite a thing to have on your resume. People don't. I think it's something that women would have a harder time coming back from than a man.
Yeah,
it seems.
So.
But I don't think. Someone in the chat's going to be like, well, actually, I've got a spreadsheet with every pit notification of Stallone's erect penis.
They laughed at me when I did that. Now who's laughing?
Who's laughing now?
Yeah, Laszlo Panaflex. Look at it, was just chucking dudes around.
I love it. For some reason, it's the beanie hat that does it for me. He's got his beanie.
Yeah.
And also the crazy shot of his the fist cam. It looks like Doom or something. The crazy fist cam. And unless I'm mistaken, this has the Greek music kicking off.
It's just
around. Do you have subtitles on?
No, I should turn them on. Your I think it's very possibly our internet, but you keep sort of crackling and breaking up, and I'm not sure if it's.
Oh, that's worrying.
I don't know if it's your. I don't know. It's done it before. I'm just worried that it might suddenly do the whole loose connection thing.
Okay. Oh, Ryan Ricardo's here. Ryan Ricardo's here. Hey, man. Look, Ryan.
Hey.
Okay, cool. Good to know. If you in the chat, if I'm cracking up, please cracking up. If I'm crackling, just say.
Oh fuck's sake! I pressed the thing and it paused it for a second, so I might be slightly behind you now.
Okay, that's fine. This is a film where it probably doesn't matter too much.
I know.
You know.
Hercules goes where he wishes.
This is what I love. It's like when he has quite extended dialogue. The shaky Statue of Liberty. Because there's a bits in the scene we just watched with Hercules and stuff. There's some really wobbly camera, and it makes me grateful for what we get away with now with, like, you know, in digital filmmaking with IBIS or embody image stabilization on cameras is so forgiving, and then even if you don't have that, your camera doesn't have any moving parts in it anymore apart from the focus and the zoom. So even when you put it into, like, your choice of software, there's digital kind of stability. We get away with fucking murder. So when I see something like this and the camera shakes, I'm always kind of like, poor, rough. See, like, it's better than I always think to myself, rough day for you guys, fair play. I couldn't have done this better with a fucking film camera. I've worked with film and it's awful. I hated it so much. I hated it so much.
Did you see that bit earlier where he picked up a filing cabinet and threw it for no apparent reason?
Yeah, it had lots of... He wanted to get rid of all their personnel files. He wanted them to have trouble getting another job. That had all their references.
No, he was just annoyed that they kept their documents on the deck, next to the gang. Like, it was just like,
these should be indoors.
Where are your backup files? Like,
the offside backup.
Yeah.
There's one filing cabinet
protection.
GDPR. This old Chuckle Brothers plank thing. Like...
Yeah, I know. To me, to you.
He should replace Barry Chuckle, the dead Chuckle. Oh, he's wearing kind of like the
he's fighting Charles Bronson as well. And I don't mean the yeah. I want a cup of Caesar as well. quicker!
Charles Bronson in New York. But again, it's because apart from Arnold, all people, like, he's a proper dirty shitter. He looks like a pepper pot made of flesh, that man. No.
Oh, this is an accident. I am falling in the water.
They've all had their ribs broken.
That required you to jump into the water.
They've both got brain damage. They just got hit by a plank from a superhero. They're dead. Yeah, they're so dead.
This in theory be like kind of an off-brand Thor?
I think in DC they do. Isn't Hercules like in DC? I think they go in with the Greek heroes rather than the Norse ones. So I think like Hercules and stuff and Achilles and shit turn up in. So I'm certain they turn up in All-Star Superman, because All-Star Superman does that kind of, you know, that victory lap of all DC things, which is and it's a wonderful book. But that's where they turned up, and I was kind of like, oh, I guess DC does that. Just sort of read those chapters and went, cool, that's fine. This is a fine chariot, but where's the horses?
Yeah. This is the thing I would say, even though I've been on a boat for the last however many days. Where's the horses?
I put a horse in there. I put a foal in there.
That's a fine line, but where is your logic?
This is a fine line. What a zinger from Casey there.
It's a crabby, tired,
sleep deprived. You're holding it together very well, man, I think. I've definitely had some moments with you recently where I felt like you didn't know where you were. I was just like, yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. This fucking guy. I think we spent really rather a lot of time of the half-hour episode talking about this geezer.
Yeah.
You fucking Hercules, you son of a bitch,
Yeah, he's just that sort of cantankerous, difficult cabbie. Much like in the same way as the guy in The Big Lebowski. I love that guy, the sort of Black Panther guy with he's got the like hat on, the black leather hat, and he's playing the Eagles.
Oh, yes.
And the dude is like, hey, rough night, and I hate the fucking Eagles. And he's going, fuck you, man. You're like, man, just get out your own fucking cab. It's like gives him shit like straight away. Just like wrenches him out and kicks the shit out of him.
Oh, cabbies just the best. It's that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh no, my books just took a dive.
Oh, dude.
Oh shit, that's
Bad.
gonna irritate me for the rest of the. Okay, no, ignoring that. I'm not gonna look at that. I'm not gonna look at that.
That's Arnold Stang, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pretzi or pretzel.
Pretzi. The man of the pretzels.
Pretzi takes as long to say as pretzels, so I don't really understand how you weren't really cutting any corners on that.
Yeah, you tell them. You tell those dead
That's what the scene is
screenwriters.
all about. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't make sense because in order for it to be a nickname, it would have to be like I'm Arnie.
You would hope
but that's
that.
kind of the same as saying Arnold. So yeah, we got a lot in common. Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
It's
I'm
like, yeah,
Arnold
you feel
Strong.
like my pal.
You be my pal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of weird. They're both sort of children, aren't they? Pretzi's got that.
Yeah.
Because again, like this era, he's Arnold Stang here. I would estimate is 18 years old. He just looks that awful because of the 70s or the 60s, really.
And he's the name. He's above Arnold in the titles.
Well, because I think Arnold Stang is in. Have you ever seen It's a Mad, 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 Mad World? They're the kind of old. The Simpsons, the Money Under the Big T thing is parodying those films.
The what?
Kind of remember the money buried under a big T, that thing in The Simpsons, and they all get in their cars and go to get the money. I can't remember the exact.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's
Sorry. No, sorry.
parodying
You broke it. Broke.
Oh, I broke up
every
again.
other word keeps. I keep losing it. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't know how else what to do about that.
Well, those are kind of like big cast chase movies.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. Like I need to check. I'm going to check this before I say it because I thought about it earlier, so I need to check. So Top Cat was supposed to sound like Phil Silvers from Sergeant Bilko. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Arnold Stang was Top Cat.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm gonna. Ooh, is he right? This is one of those things I hate saying because I got called out on being wrong about something today as well. This is what I should be. Yes. Arnold. That guy was Top. He was Top Cat.
Oh, nice.
The indisputable
very
leader of the gang. I used to really love Top Cat actually. Yogi Beckham's such shit. Like Top Cat's where it's at.
You can shove it up his picnic basket.
Shove it up your picnic basket. Look, hoik.
Stick it in your pie hole.
I sort of like, if I was going to do my gritty reboot, Hercules in New York, just have him like Frank Miller's Hercules in New York, or Zack Snyder's Hercules in New York. Just have him. He would like tear this taxi driver's head off and stuff, bathed in the blood.
But the taxi driver's sitting there just getting. He's like,
Who's gonna fucking pay? Hey, which one of you wise guys has got any money? I'm getting out of here.
He's wearing like a beret as well.
yeah.
Ah, you got no money, have you? See the fucking word.
You know you're a fat, dirty shitter when you do your jacket up
Just by the bottom.
button. You let your belly hang out.
It's like,
people who
why?
do that with suit jackets. It's like, just get a new suit. I mean, give it up, mate. You're not fitting in that anymore, are you?
I had some issues with my last suit that I need a new suit, but well, actually I don't because COVID, but I need a new suit. But my waistcoat, that would be my barometer of how I was doing well for weight or not. It's kind of like if there was room in there, it'd be like, sound. But then if I put it on, it would just go. And I could, one time I put it on, it's kind of like, I just need to release the tassel at the back. And it was completely undone, and I was just a fat cunt. I was like, well, we're going two-piece to this wedding. That's how that's going to work.
It's like people who do up their bottom button. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, especially on waistcoats, because that's I'm
Well, it's
sure
not the
you're
done thing. Yeah, it's not the done thing.
well, they're not cut for it. No suit jacket and no waistcoat is cut for the bottom button to be done at. They're not. There's not enough material. So when people do it up, it rucks everything up and it looks wrong, and you shouldn't do it. And there's a tradition that goes back to King James, I think, who was too fat to do his suit, his bottom button up. So everyone, out of respect, did not do that.
Ridiculous thing. Because I wasn't the. I need to check if this is apocryphal or not, but I once heard that the reason that in Spanish they don't really do it in South American Spanish so much, but in Spanish when they lisp, it's because there was a king with a lisp. And they all had to go.
Really?
Oh fuck! Okay, everybody, he's coming. Lisp, fucking lisp. This is how we talk now, which makes me sort of think that might not be true. But based on what you've said, you always hear those kind of things. It's kind of like, well, that's why for 500 years everybody has to carry a brick because someone.
Yeah.
This is the mighty James Caron playing the Professor with the Pipe, he's in Return of the Living Dead, but he's in tons and tons of stuff. He only passed away in the last few years. So Gary and the Dead Mouse crew struck up a friendship with James Caron, and I'm very, very jealous because they used to go and have dinner with him, and apparently he was just like a really, really funny, affable, lovely guy. and he passed away not that long ago. It was one of those weird synchronous things. I think where you and I, or at least me on this channel, covered something James Cameron related, and then he passed away that week. Or I tweeted something about James Cameron, just going like, James Cameron's the fucking best, and then I went on Twitter an hour later and it said he was dead. It was just like, oh, dude, Jesus.
He was waiting for that opportunity.
That's true. But yeah, he's. I think he's, apart from obviously, because you've got Arnold Stang and James Cameron. I think James Cameron was very much your, as was Arnold Stang, I suppose, but Cameron was very much your classical Hollywood guy. So he did tons of stuff in the black and whites and was like a character actor up until not that long ago, really. So I think between him, Arnold's kind of the nobody, I suppose, in that triptych, and he's the fucking star of the film. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's often. I mean, I guess that's often the way. I don't know. I think again, as I said, I think I said on it ain't broke. It ain't broke. No one would remember if Arnold hadn't. If this film had gone on the trajectory that, let's face it, if it was fair enough to consider, like no one would know about this film. It's only because Arnold had a career much later on. In fact, I mean, it wasn't. He went away for a good 10 years before he came back with anything. Well, I suppose you could, 15 years it was till the Terminator, and I guess a bit less till Conan. But Conan wasn't like that big. It was Terminator really that, and even then, like Terminator wasn't that big. It was only sort of later on.
It pushed him up, though, didn't it? Because it was the kind of a sort of indie sleeper hit thing that made. Because I think it was between that and Conan, wasn't it? Really, and then it starts kicking up a gear, and because even Raw Deal as well as another one where it's kind of like Raw Deal, as I said to you before, and I think, did we do a commentary to Raw Deal or no?
No.
That's Raw Deal's basically any given Charles Bronson film, because they didn't. It's not really a short because they didn't know what to do with him quite yet, and it's when you start doing Commando and Predator and Total Recall, where it's kind of like okay, so this is okay, this is how we do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because he lived, Arnold, he had a spell in London. He lived in London because he was on the bodybuilding circuit here. And he kind of almost had a sort of career here before he went kind of to Hollywood, or at least to the US. Because I think even by the time, because obviously they had this and he was quite young, but him and Franco Colombo, I think, they did real estate, but they were bricklayers and stuff, weren't they? And I think they were very successful with their gyms. So I've always understood that he was a millionaire before he was a movie star.
Well, he was a millionaire. Yeah. He made it. So he made about. He would get cash prizes for Mr. Universe and Mr. Olympia, which he bought up. I think he said the first big investment that he made was in like a block of apartments in Venice Beach or somewhere. But his trick was, he would live downstairs in the what I guess you would call the supers, the kind of groundskeeper's flat. He would live in that and then rent them out to businesses, I think, rather than individuals or something. There's a one of these videos where he totters about around his old stomping grounds now, and sort of goes, the Franco Colombo and me built this wall, 40 years ago, whatever. And I think that was his first thing, and then that enabled him then to make money. But I think the thing, history gets condensed quite a lot, and it's easy to think, oh, he did that week one.
Yeah, sure. And then
week two, and it's like this is over about 20 years. I mean, but yes, I think he was definitely independently very wealthy by the time it got to doing stuff like this, and I think that probably enabled him to, it's serendipity, it's luck, it's the fact that he was in it. He was the action hero was evolving. We were getting out of the Charles Bronsons and all that sort of stuff, and the Chuck Norrises by then. So it's kind of like everything fell into place for him. So it's not, he's a smart guy who capitalized, and I think he's someone who would always have ddone well anyway. But I do think, like, if he was coming up now, and that's assuming that all the craze with him didn't happen in the past, but if there isn't the appetite for that sort of stuff now, so it's kind of
because I think you're absolutely right. It's right place, right time, and I think there are certain things that, because I think one of the things that makes Total Recall work so well, and admittedly that's 1990s, so it's quite well into the Schwarzenegger kind of craze. one of the things that works so well about that is because it trades on the absurdity of how he looks. Because he's supposed to be an ordinary builder, but then a mega super spy superhero. And kind of the point is that it's, perhaps all in his head and everything. So it trades on the absurdity of how he looks. Commando does that because Commando knows how ridiculous it is. Raw Deal doesn't. The Terminator presupposes that an AI has tried to cram a machine into a human form, ergo. And this casting as well is, he's supposed to literally be the Greek concept of Hercules.
My thing with Terminator was always that, yes, that's true, but I also think that it's also the machines thinking that humans would respond best to their ideal. So it's if we make the perfect human, no one will suspect him because we're machines.
Yeah, because they don't know any better, so they've made the maximum person. Because it's the Nietzschean Superman, right? They've sent, and then when he puts the punk clothes on, it doesn't make any sense. And also his, the concept in particularly, we see it through the lens really of American film. The concept of the foreigner, he's foreign and therefore alien, and because he has that slightly kind of robotic delivery, blah blah blah, it works. I think all of those things, because I always viewed the kind of parallel career really to be Jason Statham, because Jason Statham had the similar level of stardom by doing a slightly different thing at a different time, because he can do all his serious kind of my name's John Puncher and I've got to do the job for the job because there's a job. But then it's I'm Frank Crank, I'm going to tear your willy off and put a balloon up your bum or something. And then he could do the wacky sci-fi ones as well, because it's a similar, it's less absurd, but it is also definitely sort of absurd when it's
tongue-in-cheek, And I mean, the thing is, again, serendipity is the partnering of him with Cameron at a time where, a film later, Cameron would not have worked with Schwarzenegger. There's no fucking way. You know what I mean? Because he wouldn't have entertained the idea of working with the guy from Conan, because he was already off to the races. Aliens, forget it. He's not hiring Schwarzenegger. So, I think that alliance, that weird, unholy alliance that sort of then went on to things like True Lies is the ultimate expression, I think, of their kind of...
And again, the absurdity of what Schwarzenegger is. Sorry to...
Yeah.
Pardon me. Sorry.
No, absolutely, exactly what I was going to say. It's the sort of apex of that, and it's done beautifully by people who clearly get what they started in a way, because it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that other things did the Arnold thing first, but Terminator, getting it into the mainstream was certainly off their back. So.
Schwarzenegger as Bond is completely absurd, and that's why it's funny and why it works and stuff. Because he comes straight out of the sea in his wetsuit, takes it off, tucks underneath, and then he knocks the two dogs out.
Yeah.
Stay. Right. Stay.
And that's one of my favourite things. He just goes, "Sure, here's my invitation." Boom. And that tells you all you need to know.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to sort of go on about it too much. But also, Cameron comes off as fairly kind of centre left, and Schwarzenegger is kind of literally a Republican politician, So they're two people that don't necessarily, I think, agree on a lot of stuff, but they clearly made that important friendship quite early on and recognised what it meant for their careers and stuff, and going forward.
Back when you didn't have to politicise everything, including your working relationships. But there we are, different times. But yes, I mean, it all just speaks to the unholiness of their alliance, and yet. It works. It works.
The Faustian deal that they made.
It's I guess that'd be I don't know, Mel Gibson working with Spike Lee or something.
Right.
Or whatever.
Wow, that's just great. I let that wash over me, and I was kind of no, wait, that's Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this before.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Fucking hell, that would be weird as shit. Instead, he's doing kind of Craig Zahler movies, which makes a lot more sense. I can't remember if we talked about this before, but it was did most of the budget go on getting a suit made for Arnold, or did he just bring his own from home? I sort of think he brought his own from home. He strikes me as the kind of geezer who'd get off the boat and go and have a suit made. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. He had a tailor by this point. I mean, he'd have to, because that's not an off the peg size, is it?
No, because his torso looks like a Derry Lee. I remember Derry Lee.
I can kind of talk smack about it because the guy's a fucking fraudster and a criminal at this point, and I won't name names, but very early on in my career, I worked with a director. This is all in air quotes. Who claimed all sorts of frivolous nonsense,
Just so,
including.
can we just get this out? This Duncan was a good 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, about 11 years ago or so.
Because I don't want anybody to infer that we're perhaps talking about something else.
Oh God, no! I'm certainly not talking about anyone.
I'm not in any way suggesting what you were saying was similar, but I didn't want people to
he went down like he had. We later found out he had been to prison a bunch of times and
Jesus, I remember you telling me about this fucking dude.
Blacklisted by BAFTA. Anyway, this is not someone I've actually appeared on camera for or anything like that. It's a long story. I won't go into it, but. He used to make all kinds of claims, including one.
He invented the question mark. Sorry.
Well, it may as well have done. Yeah, he accused chestnuts of being lazy and all sorts of shit. But in fact, it was off that I made my very good friend Ben Jakes, who's a producer and who produced Erica and I Am Soldier, in fact, and other stuff as well. So lots of good came from that. But he and I joke about this guy a lot. But he basically at one point sat on the steps of his studio, claimed that he had been working on Aliens, because he claimed to have this working relationship with James Cameron, and that he'd been working on Aliens as part of the crew, and that James Cameron came up to him one day and said, I like your I won't do his voice because that might give it away. Well, probably wouldn't, but whatever. And he goes, I like your leather jacket. Can I see it for a second? And we'll do him as Alan Partridge, because that's what he is. I says, yeah, I don't mind because I'm not precious. And I gave him the leather jacket, and then later on I was watching The Terminator and I went, that's my leather jacket on Arnold. And I'm like, firstly, Aliens came out way after The Terminator.
What?
And I was like, this is like 2009, so we're still sort of in the early infancy of like mobile phones have the internet, right? But I was like, I said that Aliens came out in like 85 and that or whenever it was, 86. And that came out in 84. He's like, no. And I was like, it did.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense. And this is probably part of what led to me getting fired, but that's also fine because fuck him. He's an idiot. And so, but I got my phone out and like went on IMDb and went, yeah, look, what are you talking about? And it was just like his face. It was one of those like, I can't back down.
If he had any nous whatsoever, he should have said, "Oh, I meant Terminator 2." Not that would have mattered, because I don't know this guy. I don't know what he looks like. You've told me about this dude before.
Yeah.
But I don't know what he looks like. Probably guessing his build isn't the same as former Mr. Universe Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just throwing that out there as a.
He was a built-ish dude. Let's give him that. I'll give him that credit. But he was by no means Mr. fucking Olympia. And
right.
yeah, well, that was the other thing I saw. I think he's a different size. But anyway.
Arnold shrunk down to fit into my jacket.
Charlatans, mate. And that's the tip of the iceberg, really. The amount of just. But do you know what? It's a good baptism of fire to start your career and anything to sort of be thrown in the deep end with a charlatan like that, because it very quickly makes you aware of the signs and what to avoid. For a moment there, I was very worried by people saying, "Oh, he's like." James Atkinson said, like Jay from The Inbetweeners. I've heard someone say, James Atkinson says it's like a pub story. I was very worried for a moment that no one was going to say Billy Bullshitter, because I was sat here going Billy Bullshit, Billy Bullshit, Billy Bullshit, and people are saying Billy Bullshit. So we've redeemed ourselves this evening. But even worse, it was like a 50-year-old guy doing Billy Bullshit.
Yeah, a Billy Bullshitter wielding power and
Well, yeah.
Anyway, this is the legendary bear scene. The underexposed filmed in the evening bear scene.
Arnold fights and a man dressed as Anne.
There's been an escape from the zoo.
Yeah.
See, our joke when we were youngins watching this, our joke was that Arnold didn't know it wasn't a bear, and they just carried on filming when the man came out and he beat him to death. Because I think he sort of like he knocks the head askew. Even as a kid, you're just like, come on.
It's so, it just doesn't look like it's trying at all, and yet she has to do
her feint, because she does that really, and it's one that I assume as an actor, you tell me, but like someone said to her react, and she kind of goes, and then passes out, and she's probably thinking they're going to cut away, but they just keep that one take of her doing her shit.
they're like, yeah, cut, and she's like, okay, and then like, okay, moving on. It's like, wait, we're not going to do another coverage of that? Like, what? Like, no, I think we got it. It's like, okay, like, I mean, that's another thing that I've spoken about before, and it sounds like I'm making excuses for poor performances on my part. Maybe I am, but it's also that thing of like when you're in a low budget situation. Yeah, those pants are definitely made to measure, mate. They are not. Those aren't off the peg. Yeah, when you're in that sort of low budget situation, you don't have the money or the time to have lots of coverage and lots of stuff to cut to, and it's like you don't realize just how much in mainstream films performances are made in the edit. Like they are, you can cut around, you have all the options in the world, things to cut away to. If ever you watch I won't say which actress, but there is a particular actress who's very well known and very well regarded. Well, not well regarded, but she's a big actress. Who, whenever I started noticing it in a rom-com she did years ago, and ever since, whenever I've watched her, I've noticed how much editors cut away from her. Like her lines happen off screen a lot, and it's like, and it's just like, that's interesting. So yeah, you'll notice it, like, again, because they've got options, they've got things, they've got B units and C units covering just cutaway stuff. I mean, they're just like, have we got anything we can just shove in there? So yeah,
I'm so sus of. I mean, because we're in that era now where Rise of Skywalker was such a huge one, but we seem to be coming out the other end of that. I'm not sure, but Rise of Skywalker is like one of the most expensive movies ever, and it did it a lot, mostly because of Carrie Fisher's death. Did you lose me?
James Atkinson just nailed it.
What did he say? Oh,
that's who I was talking about.
Don't say.
Well, it's all right. I don't think she's not at home going, wait, he said what?
She's like, my favourite channel. No, fair enough.
Subscriber count goes down by 1.
She was the one watching on Periscope. I only stream on Periscope.
Anymore.
I can't remember what I was saying. I didn't expect Cameron Diaz to get doxxed. It probably wasn't that interesting anyway. I shouldn't worry about it. I've put it on Periscope. Yeah, look, there's only one person watching. Oh no, 2 people. But Cameron's back. Maybe Renee was in the room, so she stayed because it's not her.
Sorry, you were saying about, I think, editing or acting or something.
Yeah, no, it was some shit. I don't remember. God, I don't remember.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I hate when people...
No. That's fine. I think the payoff was worth it, so it's absolutely fine. Right. Oh yeah, no, sorry. This Rise of Skywalker thing. Sure, I'm so sus now when I see the back of someone's head, because absolutely, when I've edited stuff like filling out ADR and patching things up, it's all part of the process, and you get that kind of thing. There's that kind of thing when you edit, and something like that comes along, and you realise you've got a bit of B-roll or a bit of second unit or a bit of whatever, and you can patch something over. It's kind of like, haha, smooth as butter. I nailed it. But then there's other times it's kind of like, I always found this with wedding videos. It's kind of like, not yours, obviously, but I've always found this with wedding videos. It's kind of like, oh my god, how am I going to fill this? And I sit there and I manage to do it, and it's a very rewarding end thing. But when I'm watching a $500 million movie, or $400 to $300 million movie, and there's like the fucking Fantastic Four one was so bad, because they had a whole scene where Tim Blake Nelson's talking about Doctor Doom, but they didn't shoot it as Doctor Doom. They shot it as Victor Domashev, and they added Victor Von Doom as ADR. And in that scene where they're talking about his file, it just shows the back of Tim Blake Nelson's head, and it's like, Doctor Doom! And then it shows him like pointing to a file in close-up. It's like, Doctor Doom! And it's just like, oh guys, like, come on, don't insult me. Suicide Squad as well, similar stuff. Similar stuff with kind of inserts and close-ups and stuff like that. And it's like, guys, this cost £12 to go watch. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's a cop.
Yeah, it's astounding when it happens on stuff like that. It really is astounding, because you just think, hang on, like, how much money have you thrown at this? I mean, the Justice League was very much like that as well. There was an awful lot of and obviously stuff. You know, again, when you film against green screen that much, you can put anything in anywhere, and you know, and you're assembling cinematic Lego. You're not actually making a film.
Yeah,
you know,
I kind of view it as the phrase reclaimed meat, or you know, the different phrases. It's just sort of, you get that sort of dog end, you know, of what was filmed, and it's just like, this is unacceptable for what you're expecting me to pay to watch it. Like,
well, not only that, but it's like you're expecting the full price of a ticket for a big summer blockbuster movie. You know, I'm supposed to be invested in this enough to buy all the merchandise and and it's like, no, mate, no. It's like,
no. Why should I? I do view that kind of. I've said this before, but I view that as when I'm reviewing a film. And we used to review more new films than we do now. But when I'm reviewing a film, I do have to consider.
That's because there were more new films.
Yes, yeah, true.
Sorry.
But like,
Yeah.
I do consider it's all very well to be very kind of fucking highfalutin about the art of it and stuff. But at the end of the day, you're asking ordinary people to give their money to go to this thing, and you do. And I think that's what's forgotten. I think with films that are old, it's very easy to talk about them, and I do this. It's very easy to talk about films that have come and gone that I have no, let's say, economic concern for. I can look at Citizen Kane and go like, oh, well, it's wonderful. But like right now, if I'm reviewing a new thing, I need to be able to say to the person who's watching this video or whatever, like, is this worth your money? Because like, you know, a single adult ticket for a film is worth more than an hour of the minimum wage, right? So like, why should they give up an hour of their life, grafting, doing whatever they do to go see fucking Suicide Squad or whatever?
Well, yeah,
you know,
it's an hour you have to tack onto the runtime of the film, isn't it? Effectively, you know.
And this is through the lens of professionalism. Like, I don't make feature films. I make, you know, promotional videos for people that run companies that make installation in Chelmsford. I get that, you know, I'm not at their level, so I'm not presupposing to speak for them. But at the same time, I'm not asking anybody that's going to go on YouTube to watch for free if you're really into installation. Like, I'm not asking 12 quid to watch the thing I've made.
Well, it's the same. I mean, yeah, at the end of the market I work in, I like to think that whatever I've made, you know, I mean, I've made a bunch of feature films. I've made, I've done TV, you know, and a video game, obviously. But I think, you know, something like A Fistful of Lead. I know there is a that sort of Tesco DVD shelf. I guess what used to be the bargain bin type stuff, and you know, sorry, Mark, but I think you know, let's be honest.
You know, look, man, we're all.
There's a place for that though, and what I think is frustrating people at the moment is that I think there'd be a lot more uptake in that area with people if they were marketed to right. Like if it was I mean, I'm not using necessarily Fistful of Lead as an example, but there are so many films like that have misleading covers. I remember there was a thing called Twilight. It was like when Twilight was a big deal. There was this thing that was on the Tesco shelves and it said Twilight.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and it was like all the same font, but it had a tiny little thing at the bottom.
It's what the mockbuster trend. It's what like Transmorphers. It's what the Asylum do. They make those, but they literally released a film called Transmorphers, and they Pirates of Treasure Island, which was in the font of Caribbean. And I tweeted it. I think I saw a fucking thing online where the Matt Salinger Captain America, they re-released it with the same font. And Sainsbury's put the price sticker on Matt Salinger's face.
Fuck's sake.
So it looked like.
But that again, you know, the big frustration there is that there's probably an audience for it, but you're alienating them because they're not. You know, it's being marketed. All you're doing is pissing off the people who you're trying to appeal to, because they'll feel hoodwinked. They'll get it home, stick it in the DVD thing, and go,
yeah,
this looks low rent.
They've got your money. So
yeah,
you know.
So they're annoyed. The people who would enjoy it won't probably pick it up because they'll look at the cover and think it looks too glossy or whatever. And it's like there's too much, you know. That's this, and then they wonder why they don't sell. And it's like, well, because you've just thrown that straight down the middle of where you should have been aiming. Yeah.
To bring this back to Hercules in New York. You know. But you know, in a legitimate segue, because this. Very important to remember. This film came out 2 years after Night of Living Dead, you know, famous midnight movie. This is before home video, so the expectation of this film was a theatrical release and then television. Right, no home release for this was, I imagine, on the cards, particularly because it was before the home video boom really was happening. So my point being that someone made this and expected people to watch it in a cruel way, is what I'm saying. But you know, there was an expectation, because this, to me. You know, looking at this era of Hollywood, and this is just about the time of the crash, just a little bit after the crash, and before we're getting into the kind of new Hollywood and the kind of all those sort of interesting young people that came through. You know, your Carpenters and your Lucases and whatever. This falls between that crack. And I think looking at its budget and stuff, looking at that via the lens of today, what you've just discussed, so that the kind of the rip-off movies and people taking things such as Fistful of Lead or whatever and repackaging them to cash in on another thing. This movie feels kind of cynical to me. Like, you know, we've got Mr. Universe. I think it's aimed at children, and I think this was probably a matinee movie. So they spent bugger all money, and the idea was Saturday afternoons for you to take your 5-year-old to watch for a couple of hours. You know. And I'm just the point I'm making is that, you know, because I am very interested in
cashback.
Oh, we just have a cashback. I'm interested in the kind of marketing side and stuff and the business of Hollywood, and it's something that we were taught in school was about the economics of how these things are made. And you know, now we have the kind of streaming. Now it's mostly streaming, but streaming and DVD kind of knockoffs and wonky shit. And this is the equivalent of that from 1969, 1970. It's where you kind of pump them out into kind of cheap cinema chains. Because you're going to buy all your movies with your movie stars, but you need to fill the rest of the programming up with shit like this, essentially.
Yeah. Well, because there was much more of a cinemas running day and night and having it almost like an early streaming service. They had to have lots of content on the go, didn't they? He looks quite trendy there.
He's come full circle, hasn't he? He's like kind of hipstery.
V-neck jumper. That's like something I would wear, although not looking like a condom stuffed with walnuts. As
the late great Barry Norman would have once said. Oh, look, he nearly did a trip.
He tripped. Oh, yeah.
That's Barry Norman, wasn't it? The condom full of walnuts?
No, it was Clive James.
The late great Clive James.
Late great, yeah.
I've got.
He tripped and they left it in. Like you couldn't do another take of that.
He was it's completely out of character, but it was very enamouring.
Sorry.
Quite an interesting. We got super chat from Mark Flanagan for $5. Thank you very much, Mark. Quite an interesting question, in actual fact.
Oh, okay.
Duncan, how do you tell a great performance from one assembled into greatness? Longer takes, natural line readings. Sorry, I'll read that as it's written. Duncan, how do you tell a great performance from one assembled into greatness? Longer takes, natural line readings? Because it's question marks. I read it like a robot. I needed to read it properly.
How do you tell a great performance?
Milk.
A great performance has milk.
Milk not found. Performance not found.
This guy looks like a cut price. Oh, in profile he looked like a cut price Dustin Hoffman there.
That's what. I'm glad that wasn't. Yeah, okay. I feel validated. That's fine.
Hercules in New York. Huh? He could have played Superman. The guy. Anyway, sorry, Mark. I mean, basically, yeah. I think. Don't get me wrong. I don't think. I think that you. I think it all comes down to authenticity. I think the most magnetic performances, generally speaking, are the most authentic. So it's like you can go off into sort of wanky method territory with all that, but what I mean is, I suppose someone who is really in the moment is a cliched term, but you know what I mean. It's that I suppose. Let me think of something recently, like. Like Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, for example. I think the thing with that performance is not so much it's not his choices necessarily. It's more the fact that I think he's just being very authentic to the choices he's made, and so like that's a performance where there's long takes, there's not much cutting away from him, and also I think if someone's reactions are shown a lot, that's also that speaks to them having given more of a performance rather than, because quite often in big movies as well is that people will have stand-ins, because I've done it. I won't say for whom, but the people will have.
I know, but I'm not going to tell you.
They have stand-ins for their coverage of for reverse shots and stuff like that, and sometimes that's due to just like scheduling and that kind of thing, and it's not the star's choice necessarily to have that happen, but sometimes I guess it is that they're just lazy and they don't want to do the reverse shot, but and that's where you have to learn. I mean, actually Holly Earl, who played Erica in Erica, kind of taught me that the kind of the marathon aspect of doing stuff like that, which is to conserve your emotional energy for your coverage.
That was very intense, because that wasn't the same as a feature film, was it? You had to do every version of every outcome, which amounts to presumably fuckloads more coverage than a feature film.
Like a scene would take a day, and I remember there was one scene where we were in a boiling hot room and with the three of us, and so there was coverage for 3, but it was also coverage for I don't know how many different outcomes. and I went in all guns blazing, like an idiot, and they weren't doing my coverage till the end. And I tend to give my best performances when it's just the back of my head, or my shoulder, or when I'm just there for eye line. That's usually when my best performances happen. But she was really great, and I remember thinking, oh, you're not really giving it. And then when it was on her, it was like, oh, she turned it on, and I was like, that's a skill. That's a real skill to be able to do. And she was great. But I think dude. I mean, I think more. Less cutting away, like staying on them, because I mean, imagine like every time you cut away, there's the probability that they're using a different take. You don't
look
know,
out. Do you? You don't know, because I'm on the other side of that, and you don't know what we're going to use when we because we've got so many different versions as well, and if it depends on who's directing the editor, because I've done things as editor, and the actors don't know. They did their shit on the day, and they did all these different versions. And I'm not saying that they don't know, but they have no way of telling is a better way of putting it, because you've got all these different versions of the text and stuff, and then someone has to assemble that in a acceptable, agreeable, continuous way for the viewer.
Yeah,
and
we're providing options essentially for you to put together.
No, you're not. Don't you? How dare? No, not really.
No, I mean, that's our job, really.
I was doing a joke, but I came against a brick wall. I didn't mean to. No, absolutely. You're giving us different, because there's different energies and stuff. Something I've learned from being friends with you actually over the last few years, and it's something, and I probably arrived at this.
Patience.
Awful man. Is I think one thing they never taught us in film school was because we used to get actors in from the drama course to do stuff with, and we used to, and more often than not actually, because that wasn't that it, because they wanted show reels, so they would come and do stuff with us, but more often than not, if there wasn't time for that, we would just get each other in. And I think the problem is, on one end of the scale, the wrong scale, you have actors that think they're the only artist on set, and at the other end of the wrong scale, you have directors that think they're the only artist on set. And those type of directors view actors as sort of living mannequins that can and I'm sure you've come up against this, that just exist to sort of because I know actors don't particularly like to have, it depends on the relationship with the director and stuff and the personal politics, but they don't like to be given readings where it's kind of no, could you say, and he did it, you know what I mean? And there's because you're
up and add
the goggles, they do nothing. This idea that and I do think there's somewhere to be met in the middle, and I think that's where you and I sort of are quite good there. As the director kind of feels like they have a sort of meat robot that's just going to do everything for them, when in actual fact the actor has to do so much to create the character, particularly when you're working with a writer director who's got the character in their head. And it's actually no, because what the actor does is so important, and the actor brings so much to that you perhaps haven't thought of. Even if you wrote it, you haven't thought of a bunch of stuff. The actor might have created backstory. The actor might have decided. The actor is deciding how that person stands and how they breathe and how they view the eyes through which they view the world and blah blah blah. Whereas quite often directors are kind of no, you're an action man that's alive that I'm going to tell to stand in a certain way and do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've worked with people on, at various points in that spectrum. I think.
That's what I'm saying. There's bad directors and bad actors, and I think all the good stuff happens in the middle. I am very much talking about extremes, just to be clear.
Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of directors, it's I think it's nice when you find one who you have a good working relationship with, and there were people and I've been very fortunate. I think pretty much 99% of all the directors I've worked with, I think I've managed to find, unless they hated me behind my back, which is possible, I suppose. Mark, I'm looking at you. No, you find a working relationship. I mean, my mate Martin, who I made Witches with. He and I used to have just from working on music videos and stuff together, it was I'm very used to just grabbing shots with him, and that's what that film was. It was just right, I'm just gonna, because again, it's the low budget. He did all the camera opping, he did everything, so it was just and his brother did the sound, so it was they'd forget to do a clap or whatever, and he'd just be like, oh fuck it, like, and clap on the camera, and and it's just rough stuff like that. But I knew what he needed, and so we'd just go and grab it.
Because you and Martin, for example, I haven't met Martin, but you know him and his energy and what he's trying to do, so you have that nice relationship where you can anticipate what.
And we'd been mates for years before we did that, and then there's people like Jamie Stone who directed Erica. I had not. I'd been in contact with him actually through Tim Partridge about a year before, just on Messenger, but completely coincidentally. And then he was directing Erica, and a lovely guy, just a lovely bloke, and someone I really warmed to, and really had we found a sort of a rhythm, a working rhythm, and I think as long as they feel like you'll take direction, and that's something that is thrown at actors in auditions. There's like, we need to know if you can take direction, and it comes off as meaning like, if I tell you to do it, 10% more happy, I want to know you'll take the direction.
It's also
but
one
it's
of
not
those things
even...
where as if they expect you to say no. It's like in a job interview, when you're a team player, no. Yeah, like it's it. Like, I'm not
well, yeah,
that. Like...
it's that as well. But it's that. I think what they also mean is that you'll take direction and not give them shit for it, or not. That there won't be resistance, because I think that's important. I think that there's an awful lot that's riding on things a lot of the time, and they need to know that you'll have each other's back. And so someone like Jamie, that I had so much fun doing Erica anyway, because we were essentially inventing a way of working that hadn't really been done before. So it was like, that felt really exciting, and how successful we were, I'll leave up to everyone else. But I think there was we felt it was nice problem solving on that.
I'm getting loan of a PS4 to play Erica. I thought you should know. Cool. I would quite like to stream it, but I won't do it without asking you. I'd like to stream it with you, which I know you're rubbing you. I know you're tired, but you're just like cupping your head, just like, don't make me do that. But I'd quite like to do it with you. I know you're.
Sorry, I'm just slightly aware that I might be getting a migraine.
Oh, dude! Oh, Jesus! Hey, Duncan's had a. Things have been very real for Duncan recently, so.
Yeah.
There's no.
I have to drop off in a minute. I might have to do. So sorry.
Drop off? Drop off?
Yeah, I might have to leave the stream if this gets bad, because I think I am. Because I basically half my vision's gone in my left eye. So.
Okay, everyone. This is going to be an interesting 40 minutes. Dude, if you're sick, give it a minute, see how you feel. But if you're sick, don't. Yeah.
It basically comes on like when you get like light in your eye.
I have a lot of problems, but migraines are one of those things that I've not ever had to deal with. I'm very, very, very fortunate in that sense.
Yeah.
So I don't.
But if I've got any. Sorry, guys.
Okay, this is fine.
It's something that gets me as well when I'm not sleeping properly.
Yes,
and I've been fortunate not to have one for a long time, so it might be.
Okay, let's see how we go. But don't feel like, please. Okay.
What will happen is, so my vision will go, and then it will come back, and then I'll get an almighty headache, and I won't be able to. Yeah. So sorry, guys. That's a really bullshitty thing to throw at you. But
it's fine. I'm not panicking. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's just like a let's play. It's just like a let's play with a film. I'm gonna be fine. Do you have water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got water.
It's not. We don't want you to do a Tommy Cooper. Let's not.
Yeah, I might just run and grab some ibuprofen, because that's usually helpful at the onset. So excuse me, please, while I just try to do that, and I will be right back. Sorry, everyone. Really sorry about that.
Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Well, here we go. All right, look, it's opportune in a way, because this is one of the points of the film that there are a few like actual creative choices in this movie, and this is one. The red kind of uplight, sort of like my little pink light there, but they do a nice little bit of smoke and red uplighting, and that, I don't know, I think that's kind of rotoscoped or something. It looks, I doubt they've paid for a model. That looks like a kind of matte painting and some kind of rotoscoping or something, but they do some nice kind of Hades stuff here, which is kind of cool. And again, it's kind of like 1960s New York and whatnot. Can Richard possibly talk Arnie for 30 minutes? Yeah, of course I can. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Very good at... if you ever watch my gaming streams, I can just sort of go and talk shit for an indefinite amount of time. So I'll let Duncan get on. If Duncan has to go, Duncan has to go. We're not gonna make him stick it out. Bless him. He's been flat out with the baby, and he's still working. He's doing more work than I am. So hey, that's fine. There you go. It's a very nice cable knit sweater that Arnold's got on there. It's black to white tones, very good. And I think is it Hades? I've kind of lost track, to be perfectly honest. Oh look, Colin McLean's here. Colin McLean, you've just missed Duncan go get some ibuprofen because he's having a migraine. Which is a bit of first bit of stream drama ever, I think. What do I think of Escape Plan? I thought the first Escape Plan was all right, you know, as the discounting the Expendables as the kind of Schwarzenegger Stallone movie, and it's nice to see those guys personally put something together. As a film, it was all right, and I hear the sequels suck because Arnie's not back, but they have Batista, and I love Batista, by the way. Hey man.
Hey.
So what did you do? Did you take some painkillers or some shit? Like, don't
just about to.
Okay, well, just, you know, if you feel the need to go, just go. It's fine. It's not. We're not fucking watching. You know what I mean? We're watching Hercules in New York.
The problem with migraines is they give you acute phonophobia and photophobia, which means that your
light and sound
head kills you. Yeah, with light and sound, and obviously a screaming baby.
I didn't know you got migraines. I've never.
I haven't had one in a long time. But yeah, I do. I go. Time to time. They're just debilitating.
You're very welcome, James. I hope I did well enough. Can I? I'm just gonna.
Anyway, sorry.
I just want to. This might make you feel better because I saw something that Floyd 75 Dylan, OG Val Verde dudes, like you comment every week here all the time. We love you, man, Floyd. He was saying earlier, and I bookmarked this, Floyd, when it came up. He's just sent his little girl to bed. I think he said she's 7. And apparently she said she wants to watch the rest of Hercules New York after school tomorrow. Which is probably the most wholesome thing that's ever happened on this channel of scatological grossness. And also kind of proves the thing that I guess it's for kids. Like, Floyd, does your daughter have much of opinion on kind of Schwarzenegger movies? I imagine being your kid, she gets a lot of decent movies. Like,
she's literally 4 weeks old today, so I don't think she's.
I was talking about Floyd's. I was talking about Floyd's daughter.
Oh, Floyd.
No, so yours. Yeah, she's not absorbing the things yet, is she? That speaks to how fucking tired Duncan is.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, everyone.
Dude, no. You get my endless. Again, I'm going to be. Tell you what, man. When I'm halfway up Mill Road tomorrow, following the bin lorry, I'm going to be thinking of you.
Oh mate, it's I mean I don't want to sound like fucking hell, it's weird. Oh god, every time I look that way it's like half my vision just goes. It's the most awful thing. One of my biggest fears is losing my eyesight as well, which is why I hate it. Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm very fortunate to have a very, very incredible wife. So yes, you know, I mean you know, single parents and stuff have my undying sympathy really and admiration because it's not easy. But anyway, sorry. You asked.
Well, if it in any way cheers you up, Caspian S just gave £5 and he says the Eric occult is attacking Duncan with voodoo powers.
That's right. Oh yes, of course. Because there's one. Yes, I think there's one in the game.
Spoilers.
There's a cult in the game, yeah. See, this is the thing. People ask me because, bless them, it got released. Was it PlayStation Plus?
PlayStation Plus, yes.
So it went on that July, wasn't it, or something? And I got a ton of people following me and asking questions, and which was really sweet and wonderful. But a lot of it was like, you died in Endgame and I played you twice and now I can't seem to save you. I've been trying to save you for hours or whatever, and I'm like, and they're like, is there a way to save you? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, shit. I mean, so I remember when you were making that, man, because you were just away like all the time doing that, and it was just like, because there's that open-ended narrative, so you were just there constantly.
Yeah, it was 3 months of filming, and I didn't even know, like I got cast in it and I had no idea how big the role was. I thought it was just a small role, and then I remember Jamie, the director, asked if I could go and meet with him and Holly, just have a meeting before, and I was like, right. That was like,
right.
it was just like just me and Holly. Like, it was like, is she meeting with all the other actors or something? And I was like, okay. So I went in and met with them, and they were like, yeah, so right, we're going to go through this and we go through that. And I was like, okay. And they were like, have you read the script? And bearing in mind that I'd been cast a few days before, and the script was like a 500-page behemoth of like just graphs and tables and God knows what. And I was like, no. And then I saw that. It was only when I saw the contract that I realised how much work I had to do. And so that's why
it's a
that
fucking
summer
cool
was
ass thing
mad.
to be involved in.
Oh yeah,
I'm
dude,
a big video games guy. Like that's
lucky.
the thing I did with Toby recently got me into a video game thing that I was really excited about, and I don't have any involvement with Erica, but just tangential kind of relationship to Erica is quite exciting to me. And Niall said he's going to give me his my big bro said he's going to give me his PS4. Though it sounds like we may have another lockdown soon, so I probably won't want to do that if that happens. But I was around there. We were trying to image the moon on Friday night. Actually, didn't go well. We don't have the right eyepiece. But
neither do I.
He was well, oh, man. But yeah, I will play Erica. You don't have to join me. I'd like if you did, but we can't be in the same. Ideally, I want you in the room with me, but we can't do that, right?
Yeah, dude, I'll sit through it with you. I maybe if we can wait till. But just don't ask me to play it, because I think my video game.
I'll handle all
behind.
You know me, man. I'll handle all that. That's fine.
And don't ask me what to do, because I'll be like,
I don't know. I don't remember.
We'll try and keep me alive as long as possible. But I'll do it for our channel, man. I got to do it for our channel. I hate every minute.
Well, they did it. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say it again in a kind of bitter partridgey way. Outside Extra or Outside Xbox, who I watch, they did it. They were doing a Let's Play, and they said you were suspiciously handsome. And I went into the chat saying like, this is weird. I'm that, and they didn't want to know. It's like, I could get you him. He's my mate. But they didn't listen. So well, fuck you guys. Fuck you, popular better than us guys. But yeah, there you go. So this guy, I think this dude is Mr. World.
Right.
So that kind of sucks when you have to go up Mr. Universe. If he is Mr. World, he kind of looks sort of bigger than Arnold. No?
Yeah, I know that guy's name.
I don't just mean taller either. It feels like his chest is bigger.
Yeah, but there were bigger bodybuilders than Arnold when he was winning, because the
world of
Lou Ferrigno was bigger. He just wasn't as proportional.
Arnold broke his will.
Well, that as well, but no, it was down to like he wasn't proportionate or whatever. Like they don't just look for size. It's like
of course, and I don't know the criteria for judging a body, but I have no idea.
No. I don't either. Yeah.
That guy looks fucking huge. I love that.
Man.
I do love a good afro side parting. It's what Richard Iowati had in the IT crowds. Like great. Moss had that great. Mark Flanagan, $5. Richard, giving your lighting choices, I'd guess you admire Nicholas Winding Refn and Gaspar Noé, your favourite cinematographers. Yeah, they are. I'm a bit of a slut for Roger Deakins as well. Someone who's lensing I really love. I've got to say,
he's lensed me
the best of the Beatles. But I've really I've really fallen into my coloured lighting mainly because I have those kind of gels available to me and stuff at the moment. So I feel like colour gel, so it's kind of like I sort of go do that. I'm trying not to fall into that that kind of Gaspar Noé look too much, because I think it's being very overbaked at the moment. But then I think probably I think Roger Deakins is my man, and I hate how that's such a basic bitch choice. But like the man's a fucking genius. Like, he's a fucking genius. Like, I'm sorry. Like the bit in fucking 1917 when the flares are raining down, and it's a fake one take movie. But did you see 1917?
No, not yet.
Mate, what? Oh my god, watch 1917. Like, holy shit. Like, oh my god. Like, there's a bit with moving light sources.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it. Roger Deakins is one. I mean, I don't often get that starstruck, but and I don't sort of freak out over stars, but the fact that the when you have those little moments of inner pride, the fact that Roger Deakins pointed a camera at me once made me feel very happy inside, even though it was in a tiny role in a Bond movie, but it was like it doesn't matter. Like all the other stuff, I was like, what? That's that Roger Deakins lensed me.
Yeah, he lensed me.
And he was behind the camera and everything. So yeah, he's dude. He's up there, man. Doesn't matter like if it's cliched or not. The guy, on his website, he has a forum and you can go talk to him and he responds to people.
And his fucking the Deakins podcast.
Right.
Right. When it's got a better name than that, it's like Deakins Cast or whatever. But it's like that. The fact that kind of availability of him is amazing to me. I find that really incredible. Like, Jost Vacano, who was Verhoeven's guy. Like I really loved how what I like about him, because like I never found Vacano's stuff particularly lighting heavy. It was more a book about movement, like because I do kind of find the more recent thing, like what I'm doing at the moment, it's very, very, as much as I like it, it's very lighting heavy at the moment in terms of coloured lighting. It seems very colour palette focused, whereas like I think in Jost Vacano's work that takes a back seat. I feel like it's in there and it's more kind of naturalistic, but he did loads of kind of very documentary-ish stuff. Which I found very interesting. Like I just find the way the camera kind of moves in his sort of work. Dean Cundy, who I've talked about on this channel before, because Cundy did, Cundy did John Carpenter. Like I love the Carpenter look, but then there's Zemeckis and Spielberg, which are very sort of very obvious choices. But to me, like one of the first things I ever noticed in movies was in a John Carpenter movie where there's like a blue backlight to be moonlight, which is not what moonlight looks like, but it also is exactly what moonlight looks like.
Yeah,
and there's that guy.
It's that thing when people turn the light off in bed and it's all really brilliantly lit, effectively, but it's just lit in a color palette that it's that cinematic language thing versus like literally
the reality. Adam Greenberg as well does a similar thing. I like Greenberg's look. I love that. I mean, and again, is more kind of subtle. And a lot of what I do, the reason a lot of what I do looks like this is just because it's what's available to me. I think if I was more practiced, nobody's going to see Icon for a couple of years, but that was my feature
cashback
cinematography debut. Which it's like I just got message actually. We're going to go shoot some more interviews soon, hopefully.
Oh, cool.
But I designed that very much around the color palette of Freddy Krueger, so that's all very in the kind of tungsten end of things. It's very orange and brown. So like and I was able to take loads of time and do loads of different creative lighting and chiaroscuro movements and stuff in those frames. But ain't nobody going to see that for ages. So there you go.
That's the way it is, man. The bigger the thing, the longer it takes for people to see it. But it'll be worth it. That's gonna do good things for you. Did you read out Caspinus gave us £5 and just said, no, Mark, it's just the Aurora Borealis at this time of year in this part of the UK, localised entirely in Richard's living room. Richard's in his bedroom, but apart from that. And then Ben Haslam gave us £5 so for Duncan's painkiller fund, migraines and newborns are not fun. No, as I'm sure I'm about to find out. Also, Richard's lighting always gives me a strong TOS vibe.
Star Trek, the original series.
I got it.
So my George Romero.
May the force be with you. See, I know
you even did the thumb wrong, you monster. I did my George Romero video, the obituary I did. That's the most TOS thing I've ever done, and it's super, super, super TOS. And someone, because that was hosted on Ollie's channel first, someone used that against me as an insult, and I was like. So this is a discussion I had with Toby. Yeah, I'm going to get on one, so fuck it. The discussion I had with Toby, like one of the things with Star Trek when it started was because it was one of the first big colour programs. So they go fucking mental with colour gels in TOS because like it's super Star Trek. So like
Batman, same.
Yeah, exactly. Batman, exactly, precisely. Batman did that more with its flat lighting, but it's all in their mise en scène, their backgrounds and painting and stuff, which owes a lot to the Expressionist movement. But anyway, TOS did loads of lighting stuff, and someone was kind of like, "Oh, it looks cheap. It looks like TOS," and I was kind of like, "Good, good. That's a good thing," because TOS lighting is amazing, and I'm.
You just unwittingly complimented me, you cretin.
Yes, exactly. It's like I don't know if you know our channel or Ollie's channel as it was, but that's the thing I love. Like oh look, here's the scene from which our background for the stream came. In case you're.
Ah, yes.
Did you see Easy Rider was on the thing there for the cinema?
Nice.
That's exactly what I said, because this is the era of it's a thing that happens a lot, isn't it? And like this is the post crash, the kind of cusp of the post crash type thing. Yeah.
It's funny as well, like something like Easy Rider would have been a big movie back. I mean, that's the thing. All these sort of old movies like Taxi Driver, this was all that sort of. This was a big release. This was a big movie, and it's like now stuff like that just wouldn't. I mean, it might if it's like I don't know. High like Nicholas Winding Refn or someone like that can get that kind of stuff.
Taxi Driver and Drive is an excellent comparison.
Yeah.
But that's Nicholas Winding Refn after having made his name in Europe, coming to the States, and then you've got Albert Brooks and Ryan Gosling and whatnot. So it's kind of
Bryan Cranston.
But, like, I don't think I would. If you're ever up for talking about Drive, whenever things go back to normal, I really really liked Drive. Only God Forgives I couldn't get on with as well, but I really liked Drive, very much. And and this is the thing, it is like Taxi Driver, but it's also kind of like here's the movie star guy, and here's the hotshot European director guy, and here's Albert Brooks, like Hank Scorpio. He doesn't do a lot, so for Albert Brooks to come out and do such a major role in a film like that is really kind of like it's fucking Albert Brooks, and then Cranston and stuff, also. He puts on the mask and dresses up as Vin Diesel. But he puts or me. It's the same, isn't it? It's the same. It's the same. How are you feeling, my man? How are you doing?
I'm alright.
Sure?
I don't know what's going on. I've never had it like this before. Where normally I get the aura, which is like blurry, zigzaggy lines across your vision, but this one's just like sitting in the corner of my left eye, and it's like a big shadow across my vision, but it has sort of retreated, so I don't know what's going on. It's weird.
This is just weird. The time Duncan got ill. Like, I think from what I see in the chat, everyone's pulling for you. If you're just suddenly like, I'm done, no judgment. You've only got 50 minutes of this crap left.
This crap.
Hey, look, if you want to book when the movie's done, I'll do half hour of AMA or some shit. Like, it's fine.
I'll hang in there as long as I can. It's the headache that's debilitating, and also it makes you very kind of not lucid. Like it makes you very kind of out of it. But I'll just have to lie down. I've no idea how I'm going to deal with my daughter tonight, but I will somehow manage. My wife has offered to have her, but I'm just like I don't want to do that. But
I haven't seen.
It's one of those things, when you get ill and you just want to get on with shit and you can't.
I always ask you to pass my best to your missus, but I haven't seen her in fucking ages, and I feel terrible about it. Bless her, like, because I love her, man. I know I miss saying hi and hanging out and shit, and I haven't done that in a long time. So just please, particularly now of all bloody times, like Jesus Christ. Oh, did they pull a tiny person out your body? How's that been? You know what I mean? Like,
she's been. I mean, this is the thing as well. I often feel like I can't really complain because she's been very ill as a result of that, and she's had ailment after ailment. She's on her sort of third week of of 3 different courses of antibiotics. So it's just like I don't really have a. If I get a migraine, it's kind of like, well, this is about having kids, isn't it? And I'm sure if my dad's still here, there you go. Dad says, let me babysit. Okay.
Oh.
Maybe. No, it's that. It's honestly what it is I just need. I have so much work on at the moment, and that's what's frustrating, is trying to keep up with life whilst that's going on. But anyway, let's not talk.
Anyway.
Me, my problems are not that interesting. But thanks, Dad. I might take you up on that. Thank you.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to meeting your dad. Bless him.
Oh, bless you. Yeah,
Philip, you've been watching Mind Nonsense like with your son for fucking ages. I'd be really privileged to meet you, Philip.
Did you say my nonsense or mind nonsense?
I'll let you. Both are valid. So you feel your bits.
I like mind nonsense.
Whatever makes you feel better.
Mind nonsense.
Mind nonsense. I completely. This might make me go off on a tangent because whiskey, but Have you ever seen the original Westworld, the Michael Crichton Westworld?
Not really. No, I've caught bits of it on television. But
Oh no, not the TV show, the movie, the 70s.
No,
movie,
that's what I mean. I've
oh,
caught
sorry,
bits of it.
no, it's because you said television.
No, I tried to watch the TV show and it was all right. But...
I don't give a shit about the TV show, right? And I'm doing this in a belligerent way because the movie Westworld, the film Westworld, is one of my favourite films, right? I really love it. And then this TV show's come out, which frankly from the outside looks like bollocks, and everyone's sorry, Philip, and everyone's wanking off about the TV show, but none of them have seen the film, and none of them give a shit that the film exists. And being a Michael Crichton joint, you know, it's really important to the fact that Jurassic Park exists. It's like a proto Jurassic Park, and you know, polymath, Michael Crichton. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying wrote and directed Westworld, and it was on BBC Two when I was a kid, and they said it's kind of like, the advert said it's like a Western Terminator, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, I have to watch this. Yeah. Anyway, the point was they have all the different worlds. It's like a medieval world and a Roman world, and all the cheap Greek stuff in this looks like a cheap version of Roman world from Westworld. The original Westworld. That's what I've done there, is use that as a platform for my bullshit about how Westworld.
Your mind's nonsense.
My mind's nonsense. My nonsense.
Yeah.
But it does remind me of the kind of Roman world in Westworld. And the film Westworld, by the way, is great. Yeah. And I don't care about D.H. Anthony Hopkins unless he's talking about, you know, Hannibal Lecter having a bongo.
Schwarzenegger said he based a lot of Terminator on Yul Brynner from Westworld. So.
Yeah, and I remember the BBC Two advert was kind of like, I remember it said, I can't remember the exact line of text, but it was like, before the Terminator, and it showed Yul Brynner. And Yul Brynner in the it's so proto-Terminator because he's so, I mean, Yul Brynner was a very, very storied actor, of course, and had done westerns. But Yul Brynner is the gunslinger. Oh my god! And I think they used some kind of fucking CGI Yul Brynner in their shit TV show for cunts. I don't mean. I haven't watched it. It's probably great. I'm sorry, but
it's all right.
He does this thing where he walks around with his thumbs in his belt and he just stares. And the idea is that, you know, every night the robots are reset after, because you can fuck. The point is you can fuck them and shoot them, and it's about this kind of sort of gross sex and death relationship. It's a really, really interesting film, and he does this great thing where he develops a vendetta, even though he shouldn't because he's a robot, but he does it kind of impassively, and he does this thing where he kind of walks up and goes draw and makes him pull the gun out. It's amazing. It's an incredible film. Like, and I think if you put it up to the Terminator and those kind of things, it is as good, in my opinion. And I hate when they just do a TV show. What bothers me is that no one seems to give a shit that the film's out there. That really irks me. Clearly, if the last 7 minutes have taught you anything, that bothers me.
The series sort of strikes me as, I mean, it really was running out of wind. I didn't even finish the first season, and it felt like it was running out of wind. And I thought, yeah, this is one of those things where you try to stretch this into a series, but I mean, I gather they've done 2 series or something, but I just, you know, and there's only so much, like, you know, and you like filler in those things where you're like, this is just the same thing. It's like Bates Motel. I was like,
where are you going with that?
Boring.
Like, where?
Yeah.
I could say Hannibal, the Lecter thing. We talked about this on the, obviously the Sons of the Lamb stream. That's created by Brian Fuller, who's a showrunner who did Star Trek and stuff. So, you know, I've never watched it, but people seem to like it. And I'm kind of like, okay, it seems like, and they got kind of cut off at the knees, right? They got caught short. So that seems kind of cool. But Westworld,
it's good.
Like, oh, so yeah, because you've seen it.
I've seen it. Yeah, no, I've watched all of the Hannibal series, and I would say that it's worth a watch, just for its own sake. I think it's just a immersive thing. Eddie Izzard's acting aside. It's just an interesting thing to watch. I do think, in that 3rd season, it very quickly ramps up like, oh shit, we've been cancelled halfway through and now we have to do all of the Hannibal things. So there's an awful lot of crowbarring in of things from the film, including the Mason Verger that they've made and sounds like,
to look like Gary Oldman.
The Gary Oldman. Yeah, he literally said, and it's very off-putting because you kind of go, well, everything else is different in this. Like Hannibal's very different. Will Graham's very different. You've jettisoned certain things and kept other things, but yet that you're sort of sticking to and you're making very clearly like the one from the film, and it's kind of like, I get how someone could have gone, how do we reinvent this? Let's just do what we did. But it's like, anyway, sorry, Hercules, and you.
Yeah, we have really. we received some heat this week for not talking about the film we're watching, and yeah, that's happening this week. But I'm just, hey, look, man, Duncan's fuck. You could have gone home. You are home, but you could have gone. You know, you could have packed this in because you're feeling shit. So fair play to you. And there's not long left. So Phil Rob 1978 made a very good point that I've wanted to make from the beginning, but we touched on. It looks very chilly in Mount Olympus, and like everything in this, like obviously Arnie's quite scanty because he's Mr. Universe, but like. When they're outside, everyone's wearing hats and 3 layers and scarves, and the trees are all dead in Mount Olympus as well. So it's definitely like November or October or something, or like March. It's really frigid looking.
Yeah. I remember catching this film on TV years ago before I think I even knew it existed, and at a friend's house, my mate's house, who is a Spitfire pilot, coincidentally.
Is he from the past? Sorry, he's just got a bit of rebar. That's supposed to be
really, yeah.
Sorry, anyway.
And I think it came on around this, but I just remember the ending of it and being absolutely aghast at the fact that Schwarzenegger was clearly, he must have been reading off cue cards and just talking at the sky. But he's like, the mighty Hercules, and it's just clearly like it's almost like you can see his eyes going from left to right or camera right to left, that I've found just utterly astounding. I think it's here. I think it's this scene.
There's
here.
the bit where so he speaks to Pretzi through the radio, but they clearly, they didn't bother, because obviously they never intended to use his audio. They didn't bother record that with him. So
they probably didn't have the budget to get him back at that point. To do like, you imagine
$20,
$1 million to get him just to do that.
Well, so it just has like, don't worry, Pretzi, you're gonna. I can't even remember what he says, like, but it's the dubbed voice. I would really love if they remember, like, so in I think it's the bit we played in.
You just smelled his hair. I swear you just smelled his hair.
Smell the Brill cream. Let's get your nose in there.
Yeah.
In Alien Isolation, the Nostromo DLC, which is what I think we played, where everybody sounds really old, but they bless them, they got a bunch of them back, and they all sound dead old. So I really want Arnold to come back and dub the radio scene. He probably would now as well. Like he's one of those, like, Arnold used to always be above it all, and now all he is too good for cameo, which is really not saying much. But I don't think it'd take a lot. Get him back to redub the lines, you fucking cowards. Let's fill in the radio.
This is the bit I remember from seeing it on TV. And I am just clearly reading off the screen, and I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying, because by now I realized that they were going to dub me. This makes me very sad. His arms look angry.
Do you have PayPal open? I've had some emails.
I will get it open.
Make sure he's up to date. That's all.
Could actually, I meant to ask you. Do you? Peter Danielson sent us £5. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
He said, "I've been on vacation and missed a lot of VVB. Duncan used this for ibuprofen stocking. Congrats on the baby."
We'll get him some morphine. Jesus.
I'm trying to read that, but I can't.
Do you want me to log it? I can go log in if you want.
No, I got it. That's it. That was all. Not that was all. This was great, very kind of you. I was going to ask you if where we were with the donations for Rachel's.
Yes, I actually have just giving up. So I think we ended last week. So as you may or may not know, one of our VVB soldiers has fallen. In the Rachel Dunn, who supported us on Patreon and was with us from the beginning, and I think from Oliver's channel, passed away recently, as we were notified by her family, following a battle with cancer. And we've done a Just Giving link to make money for the Irish Cancer Society, as suggested by her sister Leah. And I think at the end of last week we had something in the region of 270, and we have now made £371 for Rachel. So if you are interested still in giving money to that, you can visit justgiving.com/Val Verde broadcasting, which I'm just going to pop into the chat there if you want to. And I am supposed to be cycling from Clapham Common to Brighton Seafront next Sunday, 20th. So I'm planning to reshare this link to get a bit more cash in there, hopefully. But by which I mean I'm going to share it to my family and friends and stuff. But I'm going to do a thing to make you put money in there. That's what I'm trying to say.
Nice
so
one, mate.
well, I was going to, I was gearing up to do a big ride this year, and I signed up for the official London to Brighton, which got cancelled. So now I'm sort of like, well, fuck it, we'll do it for Wretched instead. So that'll be on the 20th.
Great.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm hoping to derive an amusing video from that. I did a 26 miler the other day. I did a 40 miler last week.
Wow.
I did a 26 miler on the hottest day of the year, which is 36 degrees. Down to I did Croydon to Three Bridges, which is about 24 miles. Then did 2 more miles down when I got off the train, and that was 36 degree heat. So I think I'm prepped. I think I'm trained. I've been doing a lot of cardio recently, so should
that
be
just
right.
gave me flashbacks to being on the train to London with that Croydon, Three Bridges, Stansted, Mount Fitchett,
Worthing,
that was...
Gatwick Airport. David Bobson says on a penny farthing. No. However, so the London, I've done the London to Brighton ride, the official one, about 6 times, which is it's Father's Day normally. So I make money for my dad because he's got a bonky heart, and I have people do there are wackies. I'm just like, I don't do the lycra shit. I'm not going for personal best. I just always do it. I just I wear this really and sort of do it. But I have actually seen someone on a penny farthing. I saw someone on a unicycle. I saw someone on what I can only describe as a kind of double-decker bike, where it's 2 frames welded together, and they were up here. And I was like,
wow.
And trust me, like, it's a bunch of hills. I don't know. You know when there's like a traffic light and you just put yourself down on one leg? That guy's doing that kind of, I assume, that crazy sort of chain balance thing all the way. I don't know how that works.
Wow.
But
yeah.
There you go.
I know you see that with the London Marathon, don't you? With people dressed as like as Chewbacca or whatever, and you go like, in the dead of summer, you absolute madman.
That's that. You've seen 4 Lions, yeah, the Chris Morris movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Chewbacca. It's a Cookie Monster. No, it's Chewbacca. It's a Wookiee. What's a Wookiee? Anyway, I did. I think the first time I did it, I did it on my own, and subsequently I've done it with 1 or 2 mates, and I was down at Clapham Common, whatever time in the morning, ready for push-off, because that's where you go from. And there was a bunch of lads in complete suits of armour, plastic ones of course, but still actual plates and like suits of armour. And all their bikes had like paper mache horses on. Mm-hmm. And that the first day I did it, it was hot. I mean, it's the last weekend of June normally, so it's hot, but it's not crazy hot, but it's hot. I was like, they're all going to die. It's my first ever big ride. And when I got to Brighton Beach, they were already there because they'd beaten me. Yeah, but it's like, fair play to you.
I think I said this before that he looks like a Hasidic Jew.
Well, I do think his disguise is supposed to be.
Oh, right, okay. Because my thing with that was, I was like, I just remember thinking when I first saw this, I was like, why is there? Have I missed something? And then obviously you realise that's Zeus.
I think that is his disguise. I think. Yeah. Because it's the big hat and the coat.
He's off to the Diamond District in New York or something.
What's over that? Or he's Amish, I suppose.
I guess, yeah. I mean, if he's wearing braces under that jacket, then maybe.
But no buttons. The Amish do not like buttons.
That's true.
Oh, I've just found out that I lazily googled the Westworld TV show but I didn't bother looking at it. I knew J.J. Abrams was involved, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to watch it, because it's just J.J. Abrams and TV is a waste of time. Co-created by Jonathan Nolan.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and also features more times than I thought I would care to see it. Tandy Newton's Snatch. So there you go.
What, really?
Yeah, she gets big and nude in that. More than I thought I really wanted to.
Tandy Newton's Snatch.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds alright to me, to be perfectly honest.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, it's not an unattractive lady, but
in a grubby way.
I'm now compelled to watch it.
Well, now, dude, have you heard? It's amazing. So I've heard. I'm not actually. No, I did a literal highlight about this, but I got so annoyed with people telling me I should watch Game of Thrones because it's got boobs in it, and it's like, grow up. Like, grow up. Like, watch
grow
some
up and like the internet.
Yo, dude, I mean, like, do you know what? Fucking watch some porn or try dating. Like, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah, that never worked. Yeah, I know. It's like there's fannies and sex, like simulated sex. It's like, right.
It's got like,
Right.
you see certain people, it's got that laddie thing. It's kind of like, well, if you don't watch it, you're banned. And it's like, well, firstly, homophobic, and secondly, grow up. Like, you know, I mean, if that's your wank threshold.
I sleep in a big bed with my wife.
With my wife, yeah. I sleep in a race car, do you? Oh my god. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. That whole thing. But there's a separate highlights video about it. I'm not. That was very much me being drunk in my then girlfriend's shed. Was the. But I was fine because I've wanted to get my Game of Thrones beef off my chest for ages, and the fact that the last season of Game of Thrones absolutely killed the pop culture phenomenon makes me intensely validated. And I wish I'd done it sooner. I wish I'd complained sooner because of, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was Hercules in New York, not talked about.
Yeah, but I think we abandoned it at about the 50-minute mark. I think you went off with a migraine at an hour, and then the last half hour you bravely stuck out us. We talked about anything but Hercules in New York. So there you go.
I think I'm all right at the moment. So just
keep
stick with
with
it
it.
for now. If I sound weird or if I act weird, just let me know.
Well, what we'll do,
Cool.
obviously, we started the movie a little bit late. Duncan's not feeling so great. I put on the schedule till 10, but we will stay on till 9:30. Duncan, if you want to go before 9:30, I'm happy to field things until 9:30.
Thank you.
But we'll keep it until 9:30 because one of us ain't feeling too good, which is totally fair enough.
One of these dickheads is not like the other. I don't know.
You know, don't worry, it's fun. I think it's the first time we've had a on-stream casualty, isn't it? That wasn't related to drunkenness. I think.
I'm surprised it hasn't. I think the migraines are so sort of, for me, they're so sort of random, and they can happen. I can have years without one, and then just get them right. And I don't think with me it's diet related. A lot of people say, oh, it's cheese, or it's red wine, or it's this, and it's like, no, it isn't. It's whatever you're susceptible to. It's something to do with. It's basically to do with the nerves. I never got them until I had a wisdom tooth out, and
weird.
There's a lot of links to the nerve in your jaw, because the nerve that runs through your jaw goes up and does all sorts of other shit. It's connected to your eyes and stuff. It's weird, which is why you get that, like, the glass jaw thing in boxing, but also, you know, so you can, if you hit someone hard enough in the jaw, you'll knock them out. It's to do with it's like the blood vessels in your brain constricting too much and then being like wide open all of a sudden, and the sudden flow of blood to your brain, and it's like, and it causes swelling in the brain, which puts pressure on the optic nerve, which is why you get aura. Not everyone gets aura. Some people get nausea and stuff, and then but that sudden rush of blood to the brain causes swelling and then ultimately pain. But the pain isn't, because the people say about headaches and stuff, is like your brain can't feel pain, which is part of the problem where people get brain tumours, and the only first time they know about it is when they start like tasting things or that aren't there, or, you know, stuff like that, because you can't actually feel pain in your brain.
Smelling toast when you have a stroke.
Yeah, but I think the pain comes about because of like all the I don't know, like all the disturbance to the various nerves and stuff. I don't really know. I mean, it's something that people don't really know a lot about. But anyway, this is not the migraine hour. This is the
it's one of those things that because I suddenly developed hay fever when I was like 26. Because having never had any effect, and one thing I've never had is migraines, and I know plenty of people who do with migraines, and I used to have someone who was working on my team when I worked in the schools, and she used to just get crippled by them. Like it would just, like, we'd be in the middle of the day and she would just go down, you know, and it was awful. So it's something I'm very sympathetic to, but I've not experienced myself, and you know, I'll you know, whatever, I've got all the fucking insomnia and metal rods in my leg to last me for a lifetime, so I'm not going to take anything else on, but I therefore sort of appreciate, like, dude, that sounds awful. That sounds horrible. Yeah,
they have different effects on different people. Some people it's just throwing up. I don't really get sick, but I just get the headache, and it's often accompanied by, like, you can sometimes predict it by, it might be up to a week before, you'll have a sudden, like, mood swing thing. So like you might be just for some reason very, very short-tempered, and you won't think anything of it, and then up to a week later or something, you'll have a migraine, and that can be a precursor. Tiredness is a big factor. I think for me, tiredness and coffee, but funnily enough, lack of coffee, not too much coffee. So that's the thing.
I think the caffeine withdrawal headaches are very much.
Yeah.
I just need to fess up to a thing. Floyd Dillon just sent us on Twitter a video of his daughter freaking out to a jump scare she did not anticipate in Jurassic Park.
Oh.
And I tabbed that out, so after we talked about migraines I could put it on, but it seems it auto played in the background, so there were loads of screams just now. So I apologise. But I'd like to lighten the mood with Doug Wannacott's comment. What's the best grain, whole wheat or my? But yeah, that sounds, dude. It sounds awful. It sounds horrible. Yeah. I find myself very fortunate to have never had to deal.
You're a very sympathetic guy. I know a lot of people who, and I was probably the same back before I got them. When someone would go, "Oh, I've got a migraine," and I was like, "It's just a headache. Stop being a pussy." But then, like, it's not. It really isn't a headache. It's like that's the unpleasant side of it, but it's the fact that you are just, honestly, it's like your brain cold resets, and it's just like you are wiped. You are just completely wiped out. You don't make a lot of sense. I have to go lie down in the dark for a few hours.
People, unless it's not something that I learned quite early on, people, unless it's happening to them, people just don't get it. And the first thing is my eyesight, because I have a really big visual impairment that I have to treat. Yeah. And because people can't see it, they just think you're making it up. It's insane. And when I had tonsillitis, I had tonsillitis when I was I think I was about 20, and my GP refused to accept it. And he just kept sending me home. And then I made my girlfriend take me to A&E, and the A&E doctors were like, "Jesus Christ, you're dehydrated to the point that it's going to we have to put you." They put me on a drip and put me in a ward immediately because my GP wouldn't listen. He just wasn't having it. And then it went on for about 3 weeks, and I was sitting around in pain, and my little brother just kind of went to me, "Well, it's not that bad," and I just kind of went, "Isn't it that bad?" I completely flipped out because after 3 weeks, because when you have really bad, every time I think what perhaps you don't realise is that you're constantly swallowing your saliva. And when you have really bad tonsillitis, every time you swallow, it's it's like being stabbed in the neck.
Yeah.
So if you imagine that all day, every day, and when you're trying to sleep, and after 3 weeks of it, my little brother was just kind of like, "It's not that bad," and I just lost my fucking shit in, and then I sort of collapsed because I used all my energy up. Yeah. People just, unless it's people just don't get it. It drives, and I'm kind of fortunate in that I learned that early on. So as soon as someone tells me they're suffering from a thing, I just always believe them. I just always okay,
Yeah, it's a folly of youth, isn't it, to think that your experience is the only one that counts. And some people carry that into adulthood. But I try to be sympathetic.
I think sooner or later we all have our, because I am Snorlax just said, "I'm fed up with people saying my fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue is fake. Why would I fake it?" That to me is the bottom line. Why would you make it? Because people think I'm just making it up for attention or sympathy. It's why would anybody do that?
Well, don't get me wrong. There are people who do that shit. That's not to say that there aren't people who don't milk things for all they're worth. But I think it's more the people who say, "Oh, I can't go out tonight. I've got fibromyalgia," or I blah 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 fibromyalgia.
Yeah, there's a very small minority of people that fucking shit it up for everybody else.
I do know people who've done that and they use it as an excuse or a crutch. But those people are usually quite easily weeded out, because you go, well, if you really had that, there are so many ways to figure that out. Yeah, exactly, as you say. If they're the kind of person who generally, my wife is like this. My wife just would literally drop dead before she admitted to any kind of frailty or ailment.
Cashback.
And I respect her hugely for that. So, and in fact, my friend Jimmy, one of my best friends, his wife has fibromyalgia and has had 2 kids now, and that was really, really difficult for her. And things like that, and ME. And the thing is, well, things like ME, where people think, oh, it just means you're tired all the time, and it's like, what?
It's so,
My friend-
it's ridiculous. It's
my-
so
one of
much
my-
worse than that.
Yeah, my friend's husband has ME, and the poor guy like walks around on a cane, like, and his legs give out underneath. I mean, and he's been medically discharged from the Red Arrows and stuff like that. And it's like you can't, like,
Well,
you don't
have.
have if you're just tired
from making it up. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Like, just think about that. What's the gain? Ellie Carley of our very own Ellie Carley, I just caught up with yesterday. She told me that, well, she put it on Facebook. Actually, we talked about it yesterday. One of her friend, I'm going to name check him. Her friend Gordon, who works with her. Gordon's a Val Verdean. Someone stopped him in Sainsbury's and knew that he worked in the cinema they work at, and kind of went, well, you know, I don't see why I can't remember the exact thing, but it was like, I don't know why the government wasted money furloughing you. You could get a real job. And it's like, unless you're a fucking rocket scientist brain, like what? And even if you are, like, what? To find real job, like, what, you want to see him out tarmacking the roads? You can't, and like, fuck off.
I said, I think I wrote underneath that. I was like, that's fine, if that person just goes home and plays with their stamps and never consumes any media ever.
The fact he knew who Gordon was suggests that he's been to the cinema.
Exactly. Like, what?
I've got to catch up with some super chats.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying Annalise Moskland, or Annalisa Moskland. I feel like I've mispronounced both your names. And this is a name-centric post, which I really like. My husband and I got married last month. Congratulations. And decided to hyphenate my name so I could say it's double-barreled. So glad you introduced me to your channel. That warms my cockles. Very happy.
It does mine too. Thank you, Anna.
Sam Montgomery, as I say to you every week, stop giving money, Sam. We'll answer anything you say. Stop giving money. We know you're a student. Please, you don't have to. I relate to Duncan. Used to get migraines. Used to get migraines constantly when I was struggling with an eating disorder. Man, that's rough. Also, don't know how to bridge these. So yeah, it was a horror film. Oh, okay. So, question on the end. Fair play to you, Sam. A good job on you on being a survivor, because those are both tough fucking things to deal with. I don't know how to bridge these. So yeah, was there a horror film that legitimately freaked you out? The first time I saw the Japanese version of Ring, the American, I had this conversation with the other day. Ring. I've still belligerently never watched the Gore Verbinski American version of The Ring, which at this point in life, I'm sure
not great.
Oh, is it not? I was kind of like, I'm sure it's fine. I really loved the American one. So because I was super into a J horror. Well, I got into Japanese movies like in about 2001 because I was a pretentious little stoner cunt, and I really loved. And then I refused to watch the American one. I've come that point in my life from sort of what's the point now. But I watched the original Ring on Channel 4 on my own, I must watch it on tape. Watched it on my own at like 11 o'clock at night on tape, which is really important because I think that's the thing about the film. You watch it on streaming, whatever, but I watched it on tape on my own I just had a mate from the internet just go watch Ring, so I went and rented it, I guess, and watched it on tape. And it just freaked me the fuck out. It was the worst.
Yeah, I mean that might as well be called the film that will kill you if you watch it. If that would have been the only extra step they could have done to break the fourth wall on that. Candyman freaked me out a lot when I was younger. It's funny because films like that and like Alien 3 and stuff, they're not like scary, but they're oppressive and they're depressing.
Alien 3 is oppressive, and it has a mood, and it's dour.
It like literally just depresses you. It has this physical impact on you, and I think Candyman was the same. Candyman had that real, I guess, because of its subject matter and the fact that especially as you get older, it's about the kind of the oppressive futility of life, like in lots of different ways. Obviously, it's about the projects, Cabrini Green, and you know, racism and the oppression of whole swathes of, and not just oppression as in like it's just not literal, but it's like the kind of economic oppression.
There's real themes of oppression and
class oppression of people, and so it's that huge depressing thing. And then there's also Helen's, who's this sort of, you would think, you know, white blonde lady in an ivory tower who's just like slammed down to earth. There's like nothing. Her whole life is just torn from it, and it's just like there's nothing good comes from it at all. Like there's no, you know what I mean? And so it's and and obviously I couldn't work that out as a kid, but I think there was it resonated with me, and also I was scared shitless by Tony Todd, who you've met, but I just his whole thing, and he seemed like, it's funny because he's not someone you kind of like, he's obviously very inviting and very warm and stuff, but it's just he scared the shit out of me.
Mate,
and
tell you what, that fucking geezer has presence when he enters a room and he fucking speaks.
Yeah,
and it's just like, poor, like, and you kind of think to yourself, imagine if he applied that to horror. Oh no, he did a number of times, and I remember what that's like, and it's really scary because he's got that kind of voice. It's like baritones down from any of us English white cunts had. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh my god, and I'm 6 foot. He's like 6'6". He towered over me. Like, it was just like.
But he's also got an elegance and a way about him, certainly in that film, that is. I won't say gentrified, but you know what I mean. He's got that kind of real
something that. So he played Kern, who was Michael Dorn or Mr. Worf's brother on Star Trek.
Right.
So he's a Klingon, and that era of Klingon was very, very, very Shakespearean, and he has that Shakespearean. You could see him doing Othello, maybe he did, but he has that real Shakespearean quality to him. Yeah. There's that refinement to him.
I think he did do it.
He must have. If he didn't, that's a crime.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
We've got a super chat from Rob Myers.
Yes.
Watched the movie free today, so here's Amazon's usual cut. Hope the migraine fades soon. They ain't fun. From Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers, mate. And we're going to catch up soon.
Yeah, you guys going to do a thing, eh?
Definitely, man. I have not forgotten that. We're very lucky to have Rob in our midst, but I set up to do a what I guess we're calling industry insider chats, which is probably horribly misleading.
Yeah, no, but no. Like, I mean, fucking, like, Rob worked on Endgame, right? Like,
Rob's the legit industry insider.
Well, as is Mark, like, as you know, like Mark's movie June Drifter. We'll talk about. By the way,
Fistful of Lead, starring me.
Yeah, Toby and Felicity have written a movie called His House with Matt Smith that's coming out on Halloween on Netflix, and Toby and Felicity are going to talk to me about that. So something Duncan and I talked about very early on with this channel was like, it'd be really good to have like UK indie film people come and talk to us. So fuck you, Rob. Rob's
you mainstream bastard.
You mainstream bastard. We clearly don't mean that as a joke. And also we're lucky to have someone like you. But Brad, Mark, Toby, Felicity, like, these are all people that work in UK film, and we're really proud to have them come on and talk to us and stuff. Also, I've just heard today, so the piece that so Toby and I co-directed a little mini documentary about video game music, and there was some talk that owing to copyright issues, that was just going to be a promotional film to go to key clients. We've learned today that all the footage has been cleared, so that's going to be publicly available. And the client seems quite keen that we share that as much as we can. So when that's done, I'm putting the finishing touches tomorrow, actually, which is just a few kind of things to graphics, a bit of color grading, and then hopefully when that's out in the wild, I'll be able to share that with you guys. And that's about the music to the video game Medieval. It's very
cool, very cool little doc. I've seen it. I've been privileged to.
You've had a butchers, haven't you?
Yeah. It's great, mate. It's great. It's wonderful.
Well, what you've seen isn't going to change much. We're literally doing changes to the on-screen graphics and intertitles. That's it. So what you've seen is very accurate.
Brilliant. This is a slight thumbing of the nose as well, because we got about, I don't know how long ago it was, but we got some snidey little comments at some point from some anonymous person who sort of claimed that we were just losers and didn't, that I was a failed actor and you were a nobody and whatever, and so it's kind of like our way of going it's not that we're not, I'm not saying that we're Hollywood elite or anything, but
no. Well, I really think I'm really excited to be involved in sort of even tangentially in UK indie film, right? Because like even doing a bit for, so I speak to Mark all the time, and like doing he gave me bless him, he shot loads of my close up in Night Shooters. He shot about 20 of those, and he chose mine, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's so fucking cool. I've been a zombie in a movie. It's so fucking good.
Mark and Brad are such. I feel very lucky to. They're great mates as well, and it's just sort of this lovely. We have like when we all get together, we've been out for beers and curries and stuff, us four, and it's like just great dudes more than anything, and then also the fact that you then get to work with them, and we have a really great working. I have a great working relationship with both of them, and I've been very lucky to work with them. And I had a nice long chat with Brad actually last weekend, and sort of caught up with him about working on Willoughby and stuff. And that sounds like, I mean, I'm not allowed to probably say anything he told me, but the trailer's out. Trailer's out there. You guys can go see it.
Yeah, you go.
It's amazing. But there's even more incredible people added to that cast now that just blew my mind. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, man. So he's smashing it, and I love that. And Mark's smashing it as well. And it's just it's nice, I think, as well, to deliver something like, even if they don't get huge numbers or they don't go viral or whatever. It's about delivering a thing that highlights an area of the film industry that just gets so overlooked. And we're not even talking about like nothing movies. We're not talking about like, just pieces of crap made for a tenner. We're talking about movies that have a budget, that have a distributor, that have sales, that get put out on DVD that you can buy in supermarkets.
Mark's debut, Colin, was in Martin Scorsese's list of best films. Like Scorsese has watched and watched Mark. Brad's had a movie on Netflix like since I've known him,
with me in it,
with you in it, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
come on. And I know he was in contention to pick up the reins on quite a big franchise as well, which we can't really talk about. And that hasn't happened. But now he's doing.
Well, as far as I know, is still. I don't think it's not been written off, but I do think he's very much tied up now with something else. But yeah, I mean, Brad is definitely. I mean, since I've known him, his career is really. I feel like he's now. I think we hover around a lot, waiting for the sort of synapses to fire and connect us to where we want to be. And I really feel like his are starting to fire now, which is so great, and it's wonderful. And you do really, I think as well, like you get early on in your career, you meet a lot of young actors who are happy about those things because they're trying to ride coattails. And as you get older, you realize that is a dumb way to build a career. And actually, you're just happy when people do things because it gives you hope that those things will happen for you too at some stage. But you're not like happy for them just so that you can, like get somewhere with them, if that makes sense. Like it's just nice. It's just really great when things, people's hard work is rewarded. And I think and Mark's too. Mark's told me about a bunch of stuff that he's got in the wings ready to go that hopefully is going to sort of kick off next year for him, and that's great too, man.
Yeah, same. He's told me some stuff. You've heard the same. Heard some interesting stuff from Mark, which makes me happy. On a related note, so we were trying to do our horror film at RAF Upward, which has now been demolished, or is in the process of being demolished, and also COVID. But I have a location in Cambridge, which I might have already said, I can't remember. But I've got a good location in Cambridge, and I've got a treatment for an idea based around that to star Duncan. And my friend Scott, hopefully, all being well, here's my best case scenario. The great thing is, I like casually having like a shit and going like, yeah, Duncan could star in that, but Duncan never hears about it. But I know he would. The current idea I have, we've already talked about, right? The museum one, we talked about that.
The Doug thing.
Yeah, Doug. We talked about Doug. Yeah. Duncan's going to play Doug. I'm so creative at coming up with names. It's a Scottish D name. But I've come up with an idea that I could shoot locally in a thing, and I want to be director and DOP, and I've got a camera operator who's willing to come in. Hopefully Liam from Conversation Hat would do some music for me, and we're going to Duncan and I co-produce, and we could do it for no money. And I've already done a Pinterest mood board, so there you go. But it's like a 15-20 minute horror short, and I'd really, really love to do. Because I kind of think like Duncan and I have, I've directed you in a very limited way, like because our promo that we haven't finished and a few kind of random bits where we've done comedy, but you and I understand each other very well, right? And I sort of feel like when we do stuff together, I'm not precious about directing you because you sort of quite often go to me, we could do this, and I'm always like, you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah,
no kind of
I
like
think-
we have that kind of nice relationship where there's no
Yeah.
egos. It's just kind of, you
For
know,
sure.
you can tell you can tell me you can give me a good idea, and I'm always like, oh yeah, he's a grown up. We could just sort of go do it. So I sort of really hope. There's going to be another fucking lockdown soon, man. But I don't really think there's a time limit on the location this time. But I think there's a tight little script there. And I'm kind of rambling because I don't want to give too much away because I'm, you know, I don't want to, because it's a kind of one and done. It's a horror one and done, and I don't want to. If you say too much, it's kind of like it's a horror one and dones. It's like the 2000 Future Shocks. It's like a joke. And if you hint too much, you give away the punchline and the whole thing's over, right? It's like a shock, you know. So,
sure.
That's
I think that the nice thing about it is when when we did the Witches film, you know, that was very much like a product of me kind of being not fed up, but me having heard from Martin a bunch of times about how if only he could get X, he could make his film. And it's really great, but I just need this and I just need that. And I just said, yeah, but what do you have? What do you have at your disposal right now that you could go? So there's so much you could do if you just turned your attention to what's, you know, at your disposal. What you know, because you've got a crew, you've got equipment, you've got lines to all sorts of things that you could just pull in and just get started. I wasn't even saying make the film, but I was just like, just get started, get off the blocks. And then you might find that stuff comes, like you could put together a sizzle reel and then you'll get funding or whatever, you know. And then he ended up making the film. But, you know, I think there's sometimes you just have to go and start. You just have to find your start. And you may not know exactly how it's going to go down. You might not have all your ducks in a row, because I know other directors and people who just never get off the blocks because they just spend all the time saying all the things that, you know, aren't there or aren't ready and it's not perfect yet. And it's like, yeah, but it never will be, you know. And I think that's great. And I think it's when you sort of go, like, when we do this, it's like, you know, it would be nice to just say, look at all we have. Like, we're just two dickheads, I know, but
well, yeah,
what happens when you put that together?
This channel, like in terms of like physically, in terms of the equipment, which is a very sort of autistic way to interpret that, but I do have quite an autistic brain, which is something that has been confirmed by medical professionals. But you know, like in terms of the physically owning the equipment in the space, we can do it. And I'm quite guilty of what you've talked about, is that I always didn't want to do it because it was like, well, not everything's in place. But the best piece of advice I ever heard was like, if you want to make films, even if they're shit, make them now. Make the shit films, get them out your system, and all you're going to do is get better.
Yeah.
There's no point sitting there trying. You're not going to get better unless you practice. It's like any trade.
Mark said that on the conversation I had with him as well. Yeah, he said, you know, it's like, just start making film, like make film. Like, cause, and it's the same thing with, you know, like acting, you know, acting is doing, and you need to be doing. And actually that I've learned, you know, as well, it goes beyond like, because a lot of actors take that to heart. I mean, oh God, I have to be acting every day and I just have to find a way to act. It's not even that, you know, it's just be doing. Like I write a lot, you know, or I'm working, I'm busy, I'm always busy. And it's like, and not with acting jobs necessarily, but it's like it's just be active, be doing, because you know, and like all this stuff, it's like just be building, make progress, even if it's little steps. And in fact, that's sometimes the best thing, because a lot of times, like when we have these lofty goals of having big careers in the movies or something like that, it becomes a huge stumbling. It's like standing at the bottom of a giant step that you can't get up. And it's like, well, wouldn't it be better to just have a small staircase where you just focused on each individual small step as you went? That's how you build a career. You don't get there overnight. It's ridiculous. And all these, you know, and I've fallen afoul of, you know, beating myself up and being like, well, I'm not there. I'm not a big star and I'm not earning millions of dollars or whatever. And it's like, no, but that's not the point. What's in front of you? What do you have right now that you can do something with? And don't, you know, push your edge, not your buttons. That's right. I think the key.
As far as I'm concerned, I've thought about it long enough. I'm good. I'm good to go. I'm ready. Like, I'm just gonna I've got an idea. I know how to light it and shoot it, and then it's really important just to be a collaborator and take shit on board. Like Scott, who I want for, I spoke to Scott about it actually. You know, have you met Scott? No, you never met Scott. Scott's another videographer from Cambridge, and I say that in a way like he's my peer, but he's definitely my superior. He has like all the fucking, he's like.
Oh, Scott, whose house I went to? No.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, you did. You met Scott and Nell. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah,
so we went to drop off the footage, right? Like, yeah. So Scott's been Scott used to work for Arm. Scott's been he's got a 10-year start on me in the industry, and I've been doing it for 4 years. You know, he's been doing it for 15, 14 years, so he's got a head start. He's got fucking amazing, all the equipment, all the knowledge, and he sort of, I would be DOP and director, but he would be my camera. Like, he's amazing, like a sound and camera. Bring him in. You know, you're an actor, you know shit. Like, we'll do it together. I'm not interested in being an autocrat. It's not how I roll. It's not how I work. And I just want to, get off the pot. I've got it. I know what I want to do. I want to do my sort of like grimy techno horror. It's going to bring together my interest in horror movies. It's going to bring my interest in filmmaking and my interest in kind of old computers. And we're going to smash it all together and see how it goes. And that's it. And do you know what? Give it a whack. Fucking, I reckon it's a week of shooting. It's a 15-minute film. And if it sucks, it sucks. I won't do another one. There you go. Yeah, fine. I'm not asking anyone for any money. You know what I mean? I think we could do it for no money. Like, I'm not asking for anybody else's funding, like, unless they want to give it to me. Go in and do it, you know. And then if I'm good and if you're good and if we're good, great, we'll make another one. If we're not, well, let's just go back to saying cunt every night on Thursday. Like, oh.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Well,
right.
we're way past, we've overrun.
Yeah,
based on Duncan. Man, maximum respect for sticking out with the migraine. That's awful. Thank you so much.
That's all right. It hasn't really set in yet. I think it's starting to, but it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. No, it's I would have hated to have bailed on you. So.
God bless. I wouldn't have judged you because that's awful. Jesus.
I know, but it's all right. It's fine. I'm good. Now for a screaming child all night.
I don't say that, but it's true. But you know, I love you.
Yeah, I know.
So I tell you what, if you know, you've got this patch now, probably just a couple of months when things kind of level out and you guys have your rhythm, and Holly lets you get away for a morning, you can come with me and follow the bin lorry around.
In a car.
No, amateur. That's no fun. You get on foot. They give you looks, those lads. They look rough as well. They'd beat you in a fight. And me, not saying just you, and me, beat me in a fight. You just got to follow those lads around and they, you know, see what they do. And then if it doesn't work, just go follow a cat around the park, whatever. Well, shall we call an ending to this meeting of the Midnight Society?
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Well, much respect to my hetero life mate Duncan Casey for sticking it out among the awful migraine nurse. That sucks. God bless you. And you know, if you were here for Hercules in New York insight, too bad. Don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, there was no insight to be had.
Anamorphic. There you go.
Yeah. Can I shock you? The camera angles. Okay, all right, guys, we're off. So that's it. We're going to pack this in. We'll see you next Thursday, for whatever Duncan and I decide to put in the pile. We love you. And we don't have any content in the canon for Monday, do we? Just to check. I don't think we do.
No, sorry.
Okay, we'll fish that out. It's fun.
But go back and check out my chat with Mark if you haven't already.
Yes, yeah. If you're interested in the craft of filmmaking and UK kind of indie film, like, speak to. We'll go watch a video about Martin Scorsese's favourite director, Mark Price.
There's also some cracking footage from Gene Drifter in there as well, which I think looks freaking awesome.
Mate, it looks really good. It looks really good.
Consider it's made for bugger all money. It's very impressive.
50 grand to make Night Shooters, and it's a fucking gory, explodey, funny, action film.
Night Shooters is a really great time, man. I had so much fun watching that. And and I Fistful of Legends.
It goes downhill after the first 3 minutes, but
yeah. It peaks early.
The joke is I'm in the first 3 minutes. Okay, we're going to smash the credits. Are you ready, Duncan? I'm going to smash the credits. You good?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Laters, guys.